6:04. Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, off and running. Brian here with you, Bree Lynn producing, getting you ready for a busy Tuesday morning. A little bit of election, or I should say, early voting recap. A little bit of this week's election preview. We've got Secretary of State Nancy Landry joining us in the 8 o'clock hour. Also, a little bit of America 250 this morning. And what is the U.S. Mint doing? The head of the U.S. Mint is going to join us in the 7 o'clock hour. His name is Paul Hollis. If that name sounds familiar to you, it should, because he's from right here in Louisiana, former state rep. They're doing some special runs of coins. We're going to cover that in the 7 o'clock hour. We got a lot of ground to cover this morning. Let's get right after it. Top stories and trending. The National Weather Service says 10 tornadoes touched down across southeast Louisiana and southern Mississippi during Tropical Storm Arthur, including 4 in the Houma area. The latest update added a Slidell area tornado to the list. In an audit report released Monday, advisors discovered concerns raised by the Louisiana Department of Children and Family Services regarding Chez Hope, an organization that provides services to domestic violence survivors. Now, the audit says Chez Hope needed guidance or was lacking in close to a dozen different categories and has a ton of homework to get services working the way that they should. Speaking of reports, this one hit pretty hard yesterday. A report released by the Legislative Auditor's Office details alleged corruption at the state's Office of Conservation concerning a pilot program that was part of an effort to reduce the number of abandoned oil wells centered around the actions of the OC's Assistant Commissioner, Johnny Adams. The charges allege that Adams used his influence at OC to select the Louisiana Oilfield Restoration Association for the project in a way that financially benefited Laura's owners in return for hiring his adult children as employees. The Louisiana Bureau of Investigation said it arrested 8 men across the state following a 2-day undercover operation targeting people who allegedly use online platforms to solicit or exploit minors. All 8 men faced charges of indecent behavior with juveniles and computer-aided solicitation of a minor, among other charges. Well, surprise, surprise, the teachers' unions don't like the governor's plans. Since last week, Governor Jeff Landry's plan to give educators pay raises through an executive order has been in limbo after a lawsuit and temporary restraining order were filed against it. Now, a new study by a Louisiana teachers' union shows that a majority of educators within the union that they surveyed are opposed to the proposal overall.
In the U.S.-Iran peace negotiations, mediators say both sides have agreed to a new 60-day roadmap toward a final deal, which includes letting UN weapon inspectors back into the country.
Yeah, so
now Iran wants to cooperate with us? I say that, but...
No. It's like, it wasn't all the news yesterday about how they were nowhere and they were going home, and now there's another... But at the same time, though, round and round we go.
Yep. I feel like we're on this merry-go-round constantly with the fish.
It's Groundhog Day. It's Groundhog Day. It's total. Ned Ryerson? Like, it's totally Groundhog Day.
Lake Charles got a little love from the Today Show yesterday. The Southwest Louisiana city was featured on the Today Show as an underrated vacation spot, as a knockoff or dupe Vegas.
I saw this in The Advocate.
What?
No, so you got L'Auberge and Golden Nugget right next to each other like that, and they are both top-notch properties. So I can see that if you wanted a little, Vegas light, I mean, we've got L'Auberge right here. We've got the Queen and the Bally's downtown. But if you want where, like the Queen and Bally's, we don't treat them like, they're not resorts. They're just casinos to go to, right?
Right.
Over in Lake Charles, it's more resort style where when you check into the Golden Nugget and they've got that lazy river and, and the L'Auberge over there versus, I like the L'Auberge here. I actually like all 3 of our casinos, but it's a different vibe because when you're there, you're just there. You don't have to go anywhere for anything else.
You can eat there, go to the pool. You can bring your family there.
Right.
Make it a little staycation.
Right. your family's not lacking for things to do while you're in the casino.
See, I would almost say the Today Show would
Shopping,
shopping in the little gift shops. But see, I would have thought the Today Show would have maybe said Biloxi.
I'm surprised they didn't.
Yeah.
I'll take it, but I'm surprised they didn't.
Yeah, because they have much more casinos over there. Okay. Add Norway to the list of World Cup countries going viral while they're in the U.S.
You saw this?
Yes. Yesterday, the Norwegians were cheering on a yoga group in Times Square.
So International Yoga Day yesterday, right? Is that what it was? And thousands of them. And, like, these women are they get their yoga mats out and everything.
Dog.
And, like, they're doing this thing where they raise their arms up slowly. And as they're raising their arms up, the whole Norwegian crowd's like, oh. And the arms get up and they all cheer.
They are living their best of life, the tourists.
Oh, everybody is. We'll talk about that, by the way, at 6:25. I know I said yesterday I wanted to find room to talk about the World Cup because the vibe is just immaculate.
From Freddie, LA7 to now this, yes.
Yeah, it's just so much going on. All right, we've got, let me give you the rundown, and the guest list, as it were. Jeff Crouere, host of Ringside Politics, joins us on Tuesday mornings in the 6 o'clock hour. He'll hop on at 6:35. What's going on down in the Big Easy? Actually, I want to take a bigger look at either the teacher pay raise that might be DOA. I don't really want to look at the Senate race, but we might do that as well because turnout is not where it was supposed to be for the early voting. But we got a lot to cover with Jeff Crouere. In the 7 o'clock hour, there's a lot of anti-carbon capture sentiment you see specifically online. And you know how often Moon talks about dark money this and dark money that? Where's the anti-carbon capture money coming from? Who's really behind it? Daniel Erspamer from the Pelican Institute going to join us at 7:15. Like I said, Paul Hollis heads up the U.S. Mint. He's on at 7:35. Back to carbon at 8:05. And this one I am fascinated by, okay? Wherever you're at on the carbon capture spectrum, completely for, completely against, don't really care, somewhere down the middle. I think we can all agree that when CCUS, when the U becomes important, the whole thing's going to launch and change the whole discussion. The U in CCUS, carbon capture, usage, and sequestration, right? If we get to that usage part where usage is viable and valuable, then the CO2 becomes a commodity. And then you can throw every other argument out the window. Because at this point, you got a sellable product. Jeremiah Piper is with Renovago. I'll get the name right. Renovago. That's what they're doing right now. They're turning CO2 into all kinds of usable products. We're going to talk with him at 8:05. Secretary of State Nancy Landry at 8:15, and then D.C. Current with Congressman Troy Carter at 8:35. We got a lot to cover with Congressman. D.C. Current, of course, presented by LABI. Before we get to our first break, let me remind you about the folks over at NeuroJust. NeuroJust.com is the website. If you or someone you know and love is battling with anxiety or depression, if they've been up and down the roller coaster of visiting a therapist and not really seeing it stick, hopping on the antidepressants and not getting the results that are desired, or seeing diminishing returns, or having to take a second pill to make the first pill work. If you've been down that road, if you've been treatment resistant, NeuroJust is where you want to go next. They specialize in transcranial magnetic stimulation, TMS therapy, very non-invasive, FDA approved, and when you've fought that battle on other fronts already, they will work to get insurance to pick up your tab. Learn more at neurojust.com, NEUROJUST, neurojust.com. I love telling you their story. I love getting them on here. We're hopefully going to have them on this week with another testimonial because they're fascinating every single time. Just when you cross that threshold and say, I'm tired of feeling lonely, I'm tired of feeling isolated, I'm tired of being depressed, well, you can call them at 225-330-7382 for NeuroJust. Oh, it's just 16 and 17 here, not cut 18. Sorry. 616 Talk 1073 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Need a quick minute to remind you about the folks over at Industry Makes. IndustryMakes.org is their website, IndustryMakes.org. What do they do at Industry Makes? Well, they are, I like to call them the return serve, if you will. When you see the industries, the manufacturing, the chemical, everything up and down the river that really makes the products that make the world go and employs our neighbors, well, every time they move in any direction, they're protested for whatever the case might be. Sure, we in Louisiana, we take pride in the fact that our businesses work hard to do things safer and more efficiently than anybody else in the world. Yeah, we take pride in that, but there's roadblocks along the way. There's protests along the way. Who's speaking up for those who are making the products that make the world run? That's where Industry Makes comes in. It's a unified voice to return serve. When the protest comes out, they will come back with from Industry Makes with the straight facts. I mean, a lot of myth busting. If you go to industrymakes.org, I tell you what, go to industrymakes.org and look up the myth of Cancer Alley. You would be shocked to find that in Cancer Alley, the incidents of cancer are no greater than they are anywhere else in the state. It's crazy, right? That's because they got to have a voice that speaks up. So let others make noise. We'll make everything else. Industrymakes.org. The NBA draft begins tonight. The Pelicans, as it stands right now, do not have a first-round pick. That is because of last year's deal with the Hawks to move up for center Derek Queen. After a 26-win season in which the Pelicans fired head coach Willie Green, New Orleans is going to be looking to shake things up. Locked on Pelicans podcast host Jake Madison says they can either trade future assets for a proven star like Jaylen Brown or move on from current contributors and fully rebuild this team. Cut 16.
We've heard a lot of talk about them trying to trade into the first round of this draft, and not just the first round of the draft, but ideally the top 10 in this draft. They clearly like a player or two that's expected to go pretty highly and figure that player can be a cornerstone in the future, but that makes you less competitive in the short term here, but maybe better long term.
Madison says the big names to watch for a draft night trade are forwards Herb Jones and Trey Murphy. Jones, of course, is just an absolute lockdown defender, and his contract is good for the team. Murphy, dynamic shooter from the outside, could be a difference maker on any team out there. There would be a lot of buyers for Trey Murphy, that's for sure. Madison says the Pels have fielded numerous calls on Murphy, and they are not putting down the phone. Cut 17.
If you want to get into the top 10 in what's considered a very good draft, you're going to have to give up something good too, and Trey Murphy has a lot of value around the league. This is a player that in some capacity is going to command multiple first-round picks and or combination of young prospects as well.
Now, if they don't make it back into the first round, if they don't make it back into the draft, they get pick number 58 overall. That'll be their whole draft. Here's the Fox Business Report. We're really looking good out there right now. Let's go ahead and start on Let's go ahead and start on I-12 westbound. If you're coming in from Livingston Parish, you're looking great. Coming in from Walker, Jubin, Range Avenue, you're good on that front. That's normally where you start to see congestion. This morning, that is not the case. Now, however, once you get into town, once you get past Sherwood and get past Airline, you are going to start tapping the brakes a little bit on I-12 westbound, approaching the 10-12 merge. It's not bad, but you will not have you're not going to be the only one out there. I-10 westbound coming in from Ascension Parish looks fantastic, as does 10 eastbound coming back across from West Baton Rouge Parish. 110 looking good in both directions too. Meanwhile, on your surface streets, there are no accidents to report, so it is a great looking Tuesday morning on the roads. Hopefully we can keep it that way. That's your look at traffic from the Talk 107.3 Traffic Center. .624. Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. So I think it's pretty safe to say that so far the World Cup has been more than delivered. I mean, we meaning the United States of America, we've done a great job hosting so far. We've seen nothing but stories of great hospitality, nothing but stories of people who are experiencing the very best of who Americans are. And that's fantastic. I love every ounce of it. And I can't get enough of it. It is my entire TikTok feed right now, and I want more.
Mine too.
Right? The Norwegians with the yoga was hilarious.
Yep.
The Netherlands.
Scots.
The Scots are
Boston Dry.
Yeah, now they're going to Miami next.
Oh boy.
I know. And as we're seeing countries start to stake claim on our algorithm, more countries are getting in. And I don't think they're doing anything different. I think they're just finally starting to share. And look, I'm never going to be the biggest soccer fan in the world. But what I am a fan of is people who have passion for their team. And they're traveling halfway around the world, and they're bringing the best of attitudes with them. And it's all working so well. And I think it's fantastic because it's all on a people level. Look, when you sit at home and you watch the news all day long, and this, I don't care where you are in the world. When you sit at home and you watch the news all day long, the world is crap. Like, everything is garbage. Everything is breaking. Everything is, I didn't mean like broken. I mean like breaking news.
Yeah, breaking
Everything
news.
is breaking news. Everything is desperate. You have to listen now more than ever. You have to pay attention right now, or the country's going to crumble. If you're not dialed in 24/7 to hate the other side, and both sides do it, but there is no cornering the market on who is the most vile when it comes to that. Look, Republicans believe that Democrats want to destroy America. Democrats believe that Republicans are Nazis. Or do we? Or are we just told this and conditioned this so frequently that we all just buy in? That's what I'm loving the most about this whole thing is this is what they're told when they're back home in their countries. This is what the media spreads to them when they're back home in their countries. And they come here and they're like, no, this is awesome. They're all over Texas, for crying out loud. All over Houston, all over Dallas. You realize how many people from Sweden are running into open carry people in Texas?
Oh, my gosh.
How out of left field does that have to
Right.
seem, right? And so you got somebody who's going to open carry and hold the door open for you.
Right. And say, have a good day, sir.
Right.
But yet he's holding a gun. And they're
That's-
probably like, what?
Right. It's multifaceted of who we are, but at the baseline of who we are, it's good people. So what I want over on our Facebook Live feed, we're live on Facebook every day, courtesy of the folks at Lake Urgent Care. What I want over on our Facebook Live feed are what are your favorite moments so far? The road cones in Boston have to, if that's not top three, I don't know. I don't know what feed you've got that I don't have.
I would have to go with Freddie LA7.
Okay.
I
This is
adore
the German?
Man. Yes. How he stops at Buc-ee's and he's like, what? You get brisket at a glorified gas station.
Right.
Then he drives to New Orleans, parties on bourbon,
Yeah.
goes to Waffle House, as he should, meets Mike the Tiger, comes to Baton Rouge
Love that.
on his way to Houston. I think that would be my favorite. And I think my other one, maybe my second, would be the Scots drinking Boston Dry.
So they did, and then I mean, they reloaded, right? Boston reloaded with the quickness.
With an emergency.
Yeah. The Scots and the road cones is one of my favorites. Fox hiring Jameis Winston might be my absolute favorite, though.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's a national treasure to begin with. And you throw them in with the big orange parade, whatever. He's calling it the Cupid Shuffle.
Oh, my gosh.
I know, but they're everywhere, and I'm loving it. So, what are some of your favorites? And by the way, are you watching the action?
My husband is. I come home, he has it on.
Mm-hmm.
I go to the store, come back, he has it on. He's dialed in. He's really been enjoying it.
So I'm not yet. When they get to, we're not to the knockout rounds yet. I'll probably watch a little bit of the U.S. once we're in the knockout rounds, and I'll probably walk away disappointed. But we're looking good so far, so I'm told.
Yes, my husband's like, U.S. men looks solid. I think he said they play again this weekend. See, I don't keep up. He keeps up.
You're right. So, okay, that's the follow-up question. I want feedback on that as well over on Facebook Live. Is favorite pop culture moment with the fandom? Number 2, are you following the action? And number 3, aside from the U.S., who has your heartstrings right now? Because I understand this team from Cape Verde is...
I heard about them.
They've never won anything before, and they're taking names right now. So... let's chat over on Talk 1073's Facebook page. Hey, before we hit our break, let me remind you about Landmark Bank. LandmarkBankLA.com is their website, LandmarkBankLA.com. Been a community bank since 1897. That's a long time. You don't stay in business that long unless you're doing something right. And you don't stay in business that long unless you know pinpoint precision what your mission actually is. And theirs is to be a member of your community. So if you visit landmarkbank.com, hit the About Us tab, you're going to find locations and hours right there. Find if they're in your community. And if they're in your community, they're a part of your community. You'll want to visit Landmark Bank because you've got someone that you see in line at the grocery store. You got somebody you see across the gym when you go to work out. You got somebody that you see in carpool who can shake your hand, sit down with you, and walk through your future. Whether you're talking about saving, investing, borrowing, whether you're talking about refinancing the home or starting your kid's first checking account. They're here for you and have been for well over 100 years at landmarkbankla.com. What?
My significant other and I have been watching some of the games. Mostly it's just us saying I don't know in response to each other's questions about the game.
Okay. No, but there's beauty in that, though.
Right.
We're all trying something new here.
Byron, I know zero. My boys play soccer with the local league here, but I know zero. Now, my husband, state champion in soccer, he's like, this is my stuff. So he's teaching me things I don't know.
When is he a state champion?
McKinley class of 1994.
Mm.
So 93, 94, they went to state championship.
Okay.
He went his senior year. And his dad had something going on in Arkansas when he was working at the time, flying down.
Yeah, I went to a big soccer school too, so
Yeah.
but I didn't play.
So naturally, he wants to get our boys in soccer.
Sure.
You know? And he's coaching my oldest and his team. So with the World Cup, he's like, yes. I don't think McKinley's been back since the 90s. I don't know. Scott would know. Or you would know.
No, it wouldn't. Yeah, I texted him topics.
Did he text you back?
No.
Hey, Jeff. Good morning. That's what I was going to ask you. Brian said he texted you topics. Were you able to get them? Okay, sounds good. I'm going to drop you on hold. He said no, but I'm going to go check now.
Okay.
Debbie says she loves the Scots. I'm watching as much as I can. I don't have enough left to try.
.637 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Time for us to check in down in New Orleans with our good buddy Jeff Crouere, host of Ringside Politics. How are you?
Hey, good morning, Brian.
Morning, Jeff. Let's. There's no way I don't start off with. So we spent the last segment talking about the World Cup and how it's on point across the board. Like the vibe is great. The people who have come to America are falling in love with us. We're falling in love with them. I mean, it is exactly what the world needed at exactly the right time. So I got to start off by asking, what's been your favorite World Cup moment so far?
Just the reaction of these fans to the Waffle Houses, to the Walmarts, to the yellow school buses. I mean, they just seem to be loving America so much. It's just nice, in a country where there's so much division and conflict, to see foreigners coming here to enjoy the World Cup, to just being amazed at how awesome America is. Just should remind all of us that this is the greatest country on earth. And sometimes you need to hear it from outsiders to reaffirm that belief that we all know is true if we've done any traveling. And I just think it's great. I mean, it's just really fantastic to see the reaction from, drinking a town dry to, the videos they're posting, to the, Japanese fans cleaning up at the stadium, which I thought was pretty cool.
Was beautiful. Yes.
Right.
Yeah. There have been so many highlights, and we're not even halfway done yet.
Right. Yeah. And of course, how about our team?
I know.
I mean, just doing very, very well, and just inspiring everyone. It just, I think, is going to lead to an explosion in, soccer here in this country as, it just continues to grow. I mean, it's grown so much from when we were kids, and it's just going to continue to grow. And kudos to President Trump for bringing this here. And I think it's great that, he's president while this is going on. It's just been, as you say, a fantastic event for our country.
No, absolutely it has. And for it to be here on our 250th birthday, for us to be reminded of who we actually are at our core. I mean, it's a good time the timing of it's perfect.
I know, and it is great to have this as a counterbalance to some of the other stuff going on domestically. I mean, it's just a nice diversion from the political battles that we have. No,
totally. Hey, let's talk about one of those political battles. Coming up on Saturday, it is Election Day. I'm actually curious because up here in Baton Rouge, I don't want to talk about the Senate race. Up here in Baton Rouge, we have 3 other millages that are on our ballot that may or may not be controversial, depending upon what your take is on renewing taxes. But I'm always curious, like around the state, what other motivation do people have to go to the polls this coming weekend, this coming Saturday? For example, what's on your ballot outside of the Senate race? Is there anything else?
Well, there are 2 races that are catching my eye that are runoffs. One is for Public Service Commissioner, Erspamer, District 1 Commissioners, term limited. And there are 2 candidates in the runoff, John Young, our former Jefferson Parish president, and Stephanie Hilferty, who is a state representative. And it's been a pretty fierce runoff, lots of attack ads, especially against John Young. Stephanie Hilferty seems to have a little financial advantage.
Really?
And so that is, of course, generating some interest. And then there's a position on Bessie, Board of Elementary and Secondary Education. Again, a vacancy. Paul Hollis took the position of Director of U.S. Mint, and his seat is open. And there's a runoff between a former Congressman, Joseph Gow, who famously got elected after, Dollar Bill Jefferson, they discovered cash in his freezer.
Right.
Cold hard cash for dollar bill. And then he's facing off against Ellie Schroeder, who is the wife of the former treasurer, John Schroeder, who's a longtime educator. And that's gotten pretty heated.
So there's a lot of motivation.
Even with that, I don't see turnout being very high. I mean, this is an election for your chronic voters, for your real motivated voters.
Oh, no, absolutely. And for the record, I went and voted last Saturday in early voting, which was only my second time in my life early voting. But I went ahead and knocked it out last Saturday because, chasing kids all summer long, you never know what Saturday's going to look like. But so down in your neck of the woods, there is going to be a little bit of attention paid because you've got more than just the one closed primary, because even in the closed primary, it doesn't determine who's going to be senator.
Right.
I mean, it kind of does. I mean, we kind of already know, but like, it's like when you have, you know, an AFC championship and an NFC championship, and you know, like one is really way stronger than the other, so the real Super Bowl happened 2 weeks before the Super Bowl. That's kind of what we're looking at here.
I would just caution Republicans to not just take it for granted, because Democrats are motivated. They're coming out in big numbers for Democrats. They're motivated by the congressional district. You know, dislike of Landry, got a recall going on, and you know, it's not going to be your normal, I think, just easy trouncing of a Democrat that normally happens. I think it's going to be more competitive.
Really?
Democrats are going to put more resources into Louisiana. Yeah, James Carville said that himself.
Well, James Carville says a lot of things. He's off his head. He's crazy.
Right. But, I mean, he's crazy, but he is from Louisiana.
Yes.
So I do think that it's going to be a little more competitive than normal. The Republicans are still the massive favorite, but, you know, it's not going to be the normal landslide, I think.
Okay, fair enough. Where are you predicting turnout to end up around?
Maybe between 15 and 20.
Okay.
And I think, you know, that's down significantly from the primary.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, it's due to a lot of factors. I mean, we're coming up to July 4th. I mean, it's summer. You know, the big motivation was Cassidy being removed, and now that's happened. So if that was your goal, well, it's already occurred. So,
right.
You know, you can feel like you accomplished your goal. And then, of course, Cassidy voters, which were about 24%, don't have a lot of motivation to vote. And, you know, some of them might stay home. So, yeah, I think that's what the turnout is going to be. And, you know, it's just a race between money and motivation. I mean, the Fleming supporters are more motivated. I think more diehard supporters, and of course, Julie Letlow's just got a tremendous financial advantage.
We got Jeff Crouere, host of Ringside Politics, joining us for a couple more minutes. Actually, before we move on to a different topic, I want to ask you one more. From the June 27th election day until the election in November, this Senate race has gotten very, very nasty on both sides. This Senate race is very nasty on both sides. I want to ask you, is that enough time from June to November for Republicans to get over it? Because if you're a John Fleming supporter, the vitriol towards Julia Letlow has been just absolutely vicious. If you are a Julia Letlow supporter, the vitriol towards John Fleming has been pretty vicious as well. So if your candidate loses on Saturday, are you motivated to go back to the polls in November? You talked about the Democrats' motivation, but we're throwing a lot of, I mean, Republicans are fighting right now. Is that enough time to get over it?
Yeah, I mean, I think the vast majority of Republicans come together behind the winner because of the stakes, because they're not going to want the Democrats to take control of the Senate. Right. And, you know, if you lose Louisiana, my gosh, I mean, you might just lose the control of the Senate. And they realize the stakes of that nationally. So I think you might have some that are just so angry that they don't vote, but I think the vast majority will get behind whoever wins on Saturday.
Fair enough.
And that's another factor here that, you know, is sort of different than we have in normal elections in Louisiana, because we're just so used to the open primary.
Right. Well, and that's why, because this is our first real experiment. This is our first real experimental test to find out if moving to a closed primary is going to be worth it or not.
And there's a lot of debate about that, Brian.
Yeah.
A lot of debate. You listen to Billy Nungesser, and he hates it. I mean, he makes that a staple of every speech he gives. And then, of course, you know, Jeff Landry and others are backing it. But it's not really a pure party primary, because obviously independents can vote.
Which, and look, to be full disclosure here, I wasn't a fan of moving to closed primaries, and I'm really not a fan of moving to closed primaries if they're not closed.
Yeah,
I mean, because you're leaving yourself open to manipulation just by being able to say I'm an independent and walk in.
Right.
Just that.
I'm in favor of closed primaries. Period. What we have here is a result of the influence of U.S. Senator John Kennedy, who I think really got behind allowing, you know, no party voters to vote in the party primary. So we'll see. Oh, and by the way, he's thinking about running for president.
Okay, so I've been dismissive of that. Is he serious?
I think so. I think so. Who's on TV more than Louisiana Senator John Kennedy? My goodness.
Well, I know, but
why did he show up in New Hampshire?
That's another good question.
I don't know. Fox News has a love affair with your senator,
as they should. And
Kennedy.
if he's not all of your right now, your TikTok feed should be World Cup and John Kennedy. No, he is a master of TikTok with the most inane garbage. He was making a chicken salad sandwich on his counter, on his kitchen counter, and I'm enamored. I can't get away from it. It's awesome.
Yeah, he's genius, and I do think that I think he's got that thought in his head. I really do. He didn't dismiss it when asked about it.
Okay.
So, I just find that fascinating. He's a national figure. He really gets incredible attention nationally. So, obviously we're talking about J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio.
Yeah, I'm strong in the Rubio camp right now. I don't endorse candidates, but man, the work he's doing, because Donald Trump wants to get a lot done worldwide, and that means your Secretary of State has to hustle.
Well, he's an impressive guy. Who else can hold down 5 jobs?
Well, he's just been named Prime Minister of England too, right? So.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
He's Jeff Crouere, host of Ringside Politics. Man, we always appreciate the time. We'll talk to you next week.
Okay. All right, Brian.
Thanks, man. Later on. Oh, my goodness. Oh, we got just a quick second before we hit your money now. Let me remind you about Guarantee Health Solutions. GuaranteeHealth.com is their website. GuaranteeHealth.com. If you own a medical office and want to grow that office, well, Guarantee Health Solutions has built out a 4-pillar program that is going to help catapult you to the next level and beyond. Visit GuaranteeHealth.com. Hit that little About tab right there. Learn a little bit more about their backstory, how they were born out of wanting to take healthcare away from that just transactional coldness and bring it into more of a hospitality-based front, and how everybody wins when you do that. Front of office, back of office, and especially your patients. Learn more at GuaranteeHealth.com. All right, quick break for your money now. When we come back, we are going to talk about that Senate race a little more. Right now, it's 6:50 at Talk 107.3. I don't know why they can't get that right.
What that is. It's just a man.
Button keeps coming undone.
I thought that was 2 ads playing on top of each other. I was going to say you might have a loose thread. Maybe that's why. No.
No, it's just sideways. It's a cheap shirt. shit. I meant to go upstairs. Fuck. Never mind. No, I don't. For this day in history, I don't know what national day you have today, but I have National Hydration Day. So I was going to go give Matt Flynn a heads up. That's the one I've got.
National Detroit Style Pizza Day.
Detroit pizza's stupid.
National Foot Day.
What?
I'm just joking.
There probably is one. 6:55 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Thanks again to Jeff Crouere, from host of Ringside Politics, for hopping on board right there. I completely forgot about that Bessie race. That it's not our district, so it's out of sight, out of mind. But you're talking about a guy who got elected to Congress in the 2nd Congressional District. That's Troy Carter's district. Before that, it was Cedric Richmond's district. Before that, it was William Jefferson's district, and squeezed right there in the middle, right after Hurricane Katrina, when they had like 90 elections over the course of 3 weeks and people just forgot to keep going. Joseph Gao, a Vietnamese Republican from New Orleans, got elected to Congress. Baffling. It's still 20 years later, it's still baffling. So he's now running for Bessie, and he's running against John Schroeder's wife. It's so good. Oh, man. All right, so coming up next hour, Daniel Erspamer from the Pelican Institute joins us. Paul Hollis, who you heard Jeff mention right there as a former Bessie member, is going to join us as well. We're going to talk about the what's going on for America 250 from the U.S. Mint's perspective. Before we dive into the Senate race, I want to remind you about One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. 400-8005 is the website. If you didn't build your home, your bathroom wasn't built for you. And David Duvall and his 30-plus years of experience want to help out here. David Duvall and his team of experts want to help out here. Visit OneBathAndClosets.com. Just start scrolling through the pics. And along the way, you are going to fall in love with the possibilities of what your bathroom could be. This is what my wife and I did last year. We gave each other a new master bath for Christmas, and it has been fantastic. The work got done efficiently. They were not. You never think about, like, when someone is doing construction in your house while you're living in your house. It was seamless. Could not have been more convenient. Nobody was stepping on each other. Nobody was in anybody's way. David was clean, professional, like never left a mess behind. Everything was about as turnkey as you could possibly expect. Visit the galleries over at OneBathAndClosets.com. Give a look, see what's possible, and then give David Duvall a call at 400-8005 for One Bath and Closets. So, you heard the story in our news at the bottom of the hour. Our good friends at the Louisiana Radio Network, our news partners over there, talking about the primary election. Democrats outnumbered Republicans in early voting in the initial primary. Now the numbers flip-flop for early voting in the runoff. According to the Secretary of State's office, and by the way, Nancy Landry is going to join us at 8:15, 77,000 Republicans cast early ballots compared to just over 54,000 Democrats. John Couvion of JMC Analytics and Polling says the Democratic turnout would have been lower had it not been for 3 high-profile ballot measures right here in EBR. Cut 7.
You're talking about a respectable Democratic turnout, and traditionally that voter bloc or demographic favors tax renewals by an overwhelming margin, and East Baton Rouge, of course, is a Democratic-leaning parish.
Now, overall, more than 151,000 people cast early ballots. That's a drop of almost 40% from the May primary. Couvion says the calendar played a huge role in keeping those numbers down.
Not only was it postponed with several races canceled, and of course I'm referring to the U.S. House races, but having a primary and runoff in May and June, definitely that's not what Louisiana voters are used to.
Well, no, we're not used to close primaries at all. And then you've got to add to that. Let's remember they pushed these elections back, waiting on the Supreme Court to do something about the congressional map. They were supposed to be closed primaries on Congress as well. That's why they moved back, and we ended up with the worst of both worlds. One more quick one from Cuvion. He says, despite the robust Democratic turnout in early voting, both the May and the runoff, he expects that kind of to be the end of the road for Democrats. It's what Jeff and I were talking about last segment. Hopefully there's going to be a strong surge by Republicans to retain the seat. We are coming up on the top of the hour. Here's news. I'll be right back. Oh, shit, the story was 6 days ago? John Fleming was claiming election interference on, like, day 2 of early voting. 7:05, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Hour 2 coming your way right now. Brian here with you, Breland producing. We've got a stacked up hour this hour, y'all. Daniel Erspamer from the Pelican Institute going to join us coming up in just a little bit. Daniel was actually filling in for Moon on Friday. I got the chance to hang out with him a little bit as I board up that, which always appreciate getting a little bit of time to hang out, as it were. We're going to talk with Daniel about carbon capture on this front. Where's the money really coming from? That's telling you where's the money really coming from? That's the anti-carbon capture money. Is it as grassroots as we think it is? Is it folks who are just here and against it, or is there something bigger behind the curtain that we don't know about? We'll talk with Daniel at 7:15. Paul Hollis heads up the U.S. Mint. He's going to join us at 7:35. Right now, though, top stories and trending. One second, my apologies. I just had everything out, and I just stacked it all up neatly and put it away. The National Weather Service says 10 tornadoes touched down across southeast Louisiana and southern Mississippi during Tropical Storm Arthur. This includes 4 in the Houma area, and in fact, they go on to say that the latest that was added to the list to make it an even 10 was adding a Slidell area tornado to the list. In an audit report released Monday, advisors discovered concerns raised by the Louisiana Department of Children and Family Services regarding Shea Hope, an organization that provides services to domestic violence survivors. The audit says Shea Hope needed guidance or was lacking in close to a dozen different categories, and they've got a ton of homework to do to get services working the way that they should be working. A report released Monday by the Legislative Auditor's Office details alleged corruption of the state's Office of Conservation concerning a pilot program that was part of an effort to reduce the number of abandoned oil wells centered around the actions of the OC's Assistant Commissioner, Johnny Adams. The charges allege that Adams used his influence at OC to select the Louisiana Oilfield Restoration Association, or LORA as it were. He selected them for the project in a way that financially benefited LORA's owners in return for hiring his adult children as employees. The Louisiana Bureau of Investigation said it arrested 8 men across the state following a 2-day undercover operation targeting people who allegedly use online platforms to solicit or exploit minors. All 8 men faced charges of indecent behavior with juveniles, computer-aided solicitation of a minor, among other charges. Surprise, surprise, the union's not on board with the governor. Since last week, Governor Jeff Landry's plan to give educators pay raises through an executive order has been in limbo after a lawsuit and temporary restraining order were filed against it. Now, a new study by a Louisiana teachers union shows that a majority of educators told the union, that when the union surveyed them, that they opposed the proposal. Ever since Amendment 3 failed at the ballot last month, Landry has made it a goal to give teachers a pay raise. That's got to get frustrating if you're a teacher. We all want to support teachers, right? We want to give teachers a pay raise, so we put an amendment on the ballot. Yeah, but we don't want to give them a raise like that. That's not how we want to do it. We want to give teachers a pay raise. We want to give teachers a pay raise. So the governor comes up with an example. Yeah, but not like that.
We don't want to do that.
Yeah, we all want to, but in every idea that comes up gets shot down. We want it, we want it, we want it. Well, not like that, we know.
Right.
Well, then are you really in favor of it if there's no way across the finish line? Or would you rather have the argument so you can keep bitching about it?
Oh, you have a point.
I'm just saying.
In the U.S.-Iran peace negotiations, mediators say both sides have agreed to a new 60-day roadmap toward a final deal, which includes letting UN weapons inspectors back into the country.
Round and round we go. All right, fine.
It's like one day Iran's like, maybe we want to play ball. And then the next day it's like, nope, absolutely not.
Yeah, and but I'm kind of off the whole train until this thing's over with because I don't know what and or who to believe.
Right.
We don't know who's running Iran, and we don't know if what's being reported to us is coming from the right sources out of Iran. or wherever the deals are taking place, wherever the talks are taking
And
place.
I'm sure Trump's administration, there's so much that we don't even know that,
Right.
that he's kind of keeping in his back pocket.
Right. So I just following the news from day to day, and it goes
Yep.
viral every single day, and it's the most trending story every single day, and that's great, and it's got to be, and we've got to cover it. Fantastic. I'm just emotionally, I'm dialed out. Don't care.
Let me know when it's done,
Yeah.
and then I'll care. Lake Charles got a little love from the Today Show yesterday. The Southwest Louisiana city was featured on the Today Show as an underrated vacation spot as a knockoff or dupe Vegas.
So dupes are like, I was learning about it because I didn't know
Yeah.
what a dupe was.
It would be like a real Louis Vuitton and
Versus
then versus a fake.
Okay. But we're not talking like Temu version. Like, not that big a drop off.
Because if it's a Temu version, the handle falls off the
Right.
purse.
That's what I'm saying. So, but they've got a point. Now, you had a good point in the last hour. Shocked it's not the Gulf Coast. Shocked it's not
I'm
Biloxi.
shocked it's not Biloxi, Gulfport, that whole
Right.
area, because they have 3-4 many times the casinos we have here.
Yeah.
And resorts like Margaritaville.
Right. Well, but so between L'Auberge and the Golden Nugget, those two in particular, right next door to each other, you could just check in and just be. Just like,
Oh, yeah.
because it's not just like, downtown we've got the Queen and we've got Bally's downtown. Of course, we've got L'Auberge further downriver from us just a little bit. L'Auberge is awesome, but they're like, it's casino, it's hotel,
Yep.
it's restaurants. With, say, the Golden Nugget, it's casino, it's hotel, it's restaurants, it's shopping, it's pool,
Yep.
it's lazy river,
Yep.
it's golf, it's tennis, it's pickleball. It's a full-on, like, you check in, all right, we're here, we're good.
Yep.
Kids, go play.
Yep.
Y'all go hit the pool. Get a cabana.
A little cabana, get a little umbrella pina colada
Yeah.
served
Well,
to you.
not for the kids, but yeah.
Yeah, but
You know what I'm saying.
virgin pina colada for the kids.
So, but yeah, it's a all-in-one. It becomes the resort experience, and it's not just like, it's not just like a little gift shop.
No.
You got full on, like, you might as well have a mall in there.
I was surprised.
You go shop for a
yep.
dupe Louis Vuitton.
There you go. My best friend had her bachelorette party at Golden Nugget, and I'm like, why Golden Nugget?
Until
Lake
you got
Charles,
there.
Until I got there, and I'm like, whoa, that's
Hey,
why.
weird though. Was your bathtub in the middle of your room?
Yes.
That's so strange.
And we had a suite. So when
yeah.
I walked in, it was just weird. I'm like, okay.
Gorgeous room.
Yeah.
Most comfortable hotel bed I've ever slept in. When I was with Louisiana Travel
Yeah.
Association Summit last year, it was absolutely adored it. But the bathtub was like right there in the
Like
middle.
Hugh Hefner style.
Right, you could like curtain it off if you really wanted to, but like you had to go to effort to not be. And now and then they had a walk-in shower, a
Yes.
different part. That's what I use. But like, just I don't know.
But knowing that families and all that. I
Right.
mean, it'd be
It's like-
different for a date night. But if I'm bringing my 3 boys, I don't want my
Right, that's
Hugh Hefner.
you got one more
Oh, wait. Yes.
because I've got one more. If you don't.
Okay. Let's go with this one. Add Norway to the list of World Cup countries going viral while they're in the U.S. We talked about that last hour. Yesterday, the Norwegians were cheering on a yoga group in Times Square.
Yeah, we need to sing more. That's what I've gotten out of this World Cup. You follow the World Cup fans, specifically the Tartan Army. They sing along with every song out there, no matter what it is. Like I got the opportunity back in 2015 to go to, I don't know, it's more than a decade old, to go to a Boston Red Sox game at Fenway Park. The job I was working out there, I was at Blinkchar and the owner, Jared Broussard. We went to a conference up there called HubSpot, and we went to a Boston Red Sox game, and it was phenomenal being in Fenway Park. Got to see David Ortiz hit a home run, and in the middle of the 8th inning, you sing Sweet Caroline. And it's awesome. That's the tradition in Boston is
Yep.
sing Sweet Caroline. You brought the Scots in there, and they sang every half inning. Whatever song was being piped in.
They just sang
it was-
regardless.
And they know all the words, and they sing with gusto, and they're all in completely.
And they're swaying side to side,
Yeah.
raising up the hand.
I know. We need more. Americans need to sing more.
Yep.
That's the whole point of that story. One more trending story. I don't know if you saw this at CNN. You ready for this?
Okay, give it to me.
A note sent to media outlets in
I saw
February.
that.
You
Nancy.
should have deleted one of the trending stories and put this in.
Nancy Guthrie.
A note sent to media outlets in February connected to the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie, mother of NBC Today Show anchor Savannah Guthrie, said she had died. Multiple law enforcement sources briefed on the investigation told this to CNN. CNN's got this up right now. So
This is crazy.
Well, crazy that it went from February till now before we even know about it, but totally expected. I mean, everybody said she was dead.
I knew that she was almost dead immediately.
Yeah.
And I hate to say that. I mean, that's morbid. That's horrible. But
It's
now
also expected.
Yeah, but now we're finally hearing about this.
Yeah.
Finally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right, we're already at 7:15 right now. So I tell you what, let's stay on time. Quick break. Come back. Daniel Erspamer's next.
That's true. Byron has a point. I think about that. Byron has a point. Don't forget Lake Charles is right in the middle of Cajun country. Vacationers can get the casino experience and indulge in Cajun culture. That's true, because if you want to go to Lafayette, you're right there.
An hour away. It's, yeah.
I think that's going to be our reel today. Talking about the World Cup that is the World Cup right now.
Yeah.
Our videos have been getting...
Although, might want to use us talking about Lake Charles, because in the last two all-employee, the biweekly meetings, they've been pushing that relationship with Golden Nugget, which was why I included that story at all, was so we could pump Golden Nugget on the air. So tag Golden Nugget.
And then I'll tag LeBears, too. Why not? LeBears Lake Charles. Okay, let me do that. And then maybe I'll do the World Cup, but save that one for tonight and have it scheduled.
.717 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Okay, so we probably should have talked about this a couple weeks ago, because it was a couple weeks ago that it came out. I'm reading from capitalresearch.org. The headline says, "Report reveals rich out-of-state donors funding Louisiana's anti-energy movement." Joining us now to talk about it is, well, Daniel Erspamer from the Pelican Institute, because the Pelican Institute is the one that put out the report to begin with. Daniel, welcome back. How are you?
Hey, good morning. I'm doing great. Good to talk again.
First of all, great job on Friday filling in for Moon. I had an absolute blast sitting across from you, getting to catch up for a couple hours. That was awesome.
That was fun.
Yes.
Let's do it again.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You know the door is always open. We need to get your key to the door, because the door is always open for you. So tell me about the report. And first of all, tell me what sparked doing the report, because there's always got to be an inkling of, a sniff of something to get you on the trail.
Yeah, so this was a report that followed one we did earlier that said, what's the pathway to energy dominance? How does Louisiana become the energy dominant state in the country, place in the world? Here's a pathway to do that. And, as we started looking at those solutions, the natural question became, okay, what stands in the way? Right. So that follows. So this report we called Barriers to Energy Dominance looked at, statutory, legal, cultural sort of challenges that stand in the way of implementing a policy agenda for energy dominance. And we just started seeing so many just pop up arguments against the energy economy here. And so we just started digging, and that's really where we came to this report.
Walk us through what it looks like, how things are structured to get money from point A to point B, because this isn't the first time in history we've seen this sort of thing grow and develop where it's really something else behind the curtain.
Yeah, no question about it. And I should start by saying, this is in a heated debate over lots of different energy issues, whether it's refineries or pipelines or carbon capture. We think debate is good. We think vigorous debate is good. Come with facts, come with arguments. So this is not, our goal in doing this report was not to shut down debate, but just rather to add some color to it.
Mm-hmm.
What we consistently see, whether it's Earth Justice, their involvement in the coastal lawsuits, or the Energy Foundation in China, as well as things like Bloomberg and others funding efforts that are seeding these anti-energy activists here in Louisiana, which, Brian, it really comes down to sort of this combination of NIMBYism, not in my backyard,
Mm-hmm.
and a much more sinister motivation from the folks on the left, which is really to shut down an energy economy and shut down certainly natural resources, oil, gas, things like that.
Okay, so walk me through that part, because this is where I keep getting lost. You said Earth Justice is in this mix here. Bloomberg's in this mix here. I don't know if you mentioned them here, but the Sierra Club is in this mix here. These are all pro, let's battle climate change at all costs people. These are all like, let's shut down the world's economy in order to make sure we protect the world that we live in. Like, we don't want global warming to get worse. People that used to be on board with carbon credits as a trade-off for protecting us from quote unquote global warming. How did these entities turn to where now they're against carbon capture and the previously mentioned carbon credits?
Well, this is that's part of the connection we were trying to figure out.
Mm-hmm.
This is where interests oddly align in this sort of weird, strange bedfellow piece. Is the groups that are funding this really exactly as you described. Their mission is end climate change, shut down energy production, particularly exploration for oil and gas. And then you have some folks who had, some legitimate concerns about property rights that deserve to be aired, and a concern of, this is stuff that could be happening in my backyard. And you play on the weakest parts of individuals to rile them up often. And I think that's what happened here, and it just spiraled into something that is really strange. These are folks who, most of the people arguing against carbon capture and some of these other technologies are the very people who otherwise are pro-business and pro-markets and, want the same kind of things maybe that you and I are looking for. But somehow this has become the cause du jour of everything wrong with the state, and it's really quite perplexing. No,
absolutely. It's become this this really weird role reversal.
Yeah, no question. And look, from my perspective, I'm not pro-carbon capture or anti-carbon capture. Our perspective is we ought to treat carbon capture like any other industrial project, energy project, with transparent rules, clear permitting, the protection of property rights, all of those things. But somehow this has turned into a much more aggressive fight than it ought to be. And I would argue some of that is stoked, if not lots of that is stoked by, we tracked about $115 million from left-leaning, not just left-leaning, hard left sources who've come in to fund this debate.
Say that number again, because that number is important.
It is $115 million since 2020.
It's incredible.
It's a lot of money.
Do we have a breakdown of who, and who's contributing to what percentage here? Because, I know that's $150 million is a lot of money, but it can easily get lost in the wash when you see, if you've got Bloomberg over 6 years and Sierra Club over 6 years. Do we know what the breakdown looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's worth noting 98% of what we can track has come from out of state, which is fine, but maybe important to know. The Deep South Center for Environmental Justice, 36 million. Taproot Earth, 26 million. The Alliance for Affordable Energy, 8.9 million. And then, you start to look at these. The Waverly Street Foundation, 15 million. Let's see, what's some names folks might know? Kellogg Foundation, almost $6 million. The U.S. Energy Foundation, $4.8 million. Bezos Earth Fund, $4 million. This is pretty significant dollars, especially for a state like Louisiana.
The one that sticks out to me the most right there, you said the Alliance for Affordable Energy. All of this is being done in order to create more affordable energy. Like that, to me, that just, it's a smashing together of two things that ought to be like, they ought to fit together like a Reese's cup.
They really should. This is, we have argued, as you well know, that opening the market and driving more energy production, more exploration is the absolute pathway not only to the security of energy dominance, but to affordable energy for every American.
Well, and not just with the capture and sequestration, but the usage part of this equation, which gets greatly overlooked. And coming up at 8:05, we're going to talk with Jeremiah Piper from Renovago Chemicals about that usage part of this, to where the carbon itself becomes a commodity, which adds a whole part of this equation that's going to make everything more affordable when you can, have more diverse options on the market. That level of invention and creation gets squashed in this debate as well.
Oh, absolutely. And that's really, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's really the most maybe important thing, is if you don't have innovation, if you don't have discovery and research and development, which is exactly the things that don't happen when you don't have a thriving market, then, and especially for folks who care about climate change, the way out of this is innovation. Right. The ability to produce clean energy and deal with the environment. That's not happening in third world countries that have no economy. That innovation is happening in places like the U.S., where we have a market economy, where we can have prosperity and opportunity. That's how we solve these challenges that face us.
We've got just a couple minutes left with Daniel Erspamer, head of the Pelican Institute, talking about their report on the barriers to energy dominance and where the money's coming from that is anti-carbon capture. When we talk about where the money's coming from and how much it is, that's a lot of it's not just dollars, it's messaging. Those dollars buy messaging. So I believe it was Mark Twain who once said, it is easier to fool people than to convince them that they've been fooled. How do you get the horse back in the barn, or how do you get the genie back in the bottle, or whatever reference you want to use?
Yeah, our recommendation is, folks, come to the table, look at this information. One of the things we do regularly with our work is question our assumptions. And, I think if we can create some dialogue around this, we put this out in order to inform the debate. But what we hope happens is that people come to the table with dialogue. And this is, I'm all for technology and social media and all this. This is where the downside of keyboard warriors really comes into play here. It's a lot easier to be angry and mean to someone behind a keyboard, and a heck of a lot easier now with AI, which I just have to say as an aside, a lot of the folks who are anti-carbon capture and sort of part of this are also anti-data center, and yet use AI to create most of their
Don't go dragging my Facebook
media
post into this.
I couldn't help myself.
No. So, okay, for those that don't know, I posted up on Facebook sometime last week. I was like, if you're so anti-data center, stop using AI, because that's what fuels the need for data centers. You're only feeding the beast at that point.
That's right. But it's the same kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
It's just, I just urge people to read, to engage, to come back to the facts of the debate rather than the emotion of these very intentional stirring up that we've seen. And that's really the point of the report.
Last one before we get you out of here. Where can folks go to find the report, specifically find the flow chart that y'all had?
Yeah, so if you go to pelicanpolicy.org and click on the policy report button, you'll see it right there toward the top. It says barriers to energy dominance, and you can scroll through our charts and graphs and read all the details and citations that you'd like.
He is Daniel Erspamer from the Pelican Institute. Always appreciate the time, brother. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, my friend. Talk soon.
Yep, we got news coming up in just a little bit. Enough time for me to remind you about the folks over at Mathern's. The Matherns Rewards app is here for you all the time, but I'm telling you about it right now because tomorrow is Wednesday, and Wednesday the new deals drop. And I've been following the deals all summer long, all grilling season long. Matherns has been firing on all cylinders. For example, this past deal that they offered for this week, you get a free bottle of barbecue sauce when you're checking out. Minimum $10 purchase, but you get a free bottle of barbecue sauce. And you get $1 off here and 50 cents off there, and you earn cash towards more groceries every time you shop. But be on the lookout tomorrow morning. New deals will drop from Matherns. Not yet. Well, he's early.
Yes, ma'am. So we are in break right now. It's probably going to be
5 minutes.
5 minutes, and then I'm going to put you on hold, and Brian's going to pick up on his end. Brian Haldane. Okay, thank you. Alan says they're dealing with the same thing up in Indiana.
What?
He said, here in Indiana, we are fighting against data centers. They shut down
Why?
plans for one near my house because community that stood up. Alan's like, you can't fight against them if the community stands up. Alan's like, still anti-CCS and only benefits oil company.
Not true. But okay. I've reached the point to where I just stopped arguing. It's just like the Mark Twain quote says: it's easier to fool someone than to convince them they've been fooled. And
Well, and if somebody's dead firm on their stance, you truly not going to use argument.
and when you have $115 million to spend in the argument, it's easy to get someone dead firm because you can pound that message home repeatedly. Where are my questions? Oh, here we are.
The one near my house that proposed was a flock camera data center. The community didn't like it, Alan says.
What did it do?
Did they protest, Alan?
Well, no, like, did the data center, did it kick your dog or something? Like, what did the data center do? I mean, because if your electric bill went up, you got serious beef. But we've been finding more and more that as these things get developed, people have brought up the problems and the communities have corrected the problems.
Alan must live in a one that proposed they wanted to raise water rates, pissed off locals.
They want to raise water rates. 736 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. We are pivoting greatly here, moving from the CCUS debate, over to the U.S. Mint, as it were. Paul Hollis, Mandeville's own, well, Grace King's own, then Mandeville's own. Paul Hollis is now the director of the U.S. Mint. He's on the hotline with us right now. How are you, sir?
Oh, I'm doing great. Appreciate being on your show.
Nah, glad to have you on here. Let's start with before we get into anything about what's coming. Let's start with the gig, man. Rewind the clock. Walk me through, because this isn't a gig that just anybody gets. How did this fall in your lap? How did you? Well, it didn't fall in your lap. You worked for it, but like, walk me through the whole process of you getting the phone call and getting offered the job.
Yeah, it was kind of a big deal. I was super excited. I was actually in my son's karate class, and the speaker and the president called, and I mean, it was a big deal. But to your point, I worked all my life. When I was a little kid, 7 years old, my grandmother had given me a coin. It's to this day, I can tell you, it's probably one of my earliest memories. And the moment she'd given me the coin that she'd saved during the Great Depression, I fell in love with it. I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. And so I graduated from LSU, went to work for a big coin company. As you know, I served 12 years in the legislature, then on the State Board of Education. And so my background is kind of interesting in that, you know, it's a lot of government experience, but also in the numismatic world. So I like to think I was a great fit for the opportunity that was afforded to me. And I'm just so thrilled. So many people in Louisiana, as you're aware, I mean, it's never occurred before where you have the Speaker of the House from Louisiana and the Majority Leader. So Speaker Johnson and Leader Scalise, it's an exciting time.
Well, you know, it's been very popular for everyone in Louisiana to say we're punching outside of our weight class, but I make the argument maybe this is our weight class. This is just kind of who we are. I mean, and it has been that way for some time. Whether you're talking about like somebody who's out front, like the Speaker of the House, or go back to President Trump's first term, Dan Brouillette was representing us on the Department of Energy. Like, you had that kind of intertwining Louisiana representation, either out in front or behind the scenes. We put our footprint on things.
There's no doubt, and it's wonderful to see, you know, a footprint that's been big and serving the American people, and for me to serve in this role, I'm just so incredibly honored and thrilled, and especially right now with the nation's semi-quincentennial, 250 years of independence. It's just such an exciting time, and I work now out of Washington, D.C., and so this is like the helm of all the different events, and we're just not even 2 weeks away. So it's thrilling.
Yeah, absolutely it is. So let's talk about the upcoming 250 there. What are we doing from the U.S. Mint? What's being taken on to celebrate the birthday?
Well, in in our lifetimes, there's been more design changes on our coins than we have seen in the last 100 years. Maybe when you were a kid, you might have seen the bicentennial quarter. We changed up the quarter, the half dollar, and then the Ike dollar. But my point is other than our bicentennial, now we're celebrating the semi-quincentennial, 250 years. So we have dual dates. One everybody is talking about now is the one that was just released, and that's the Thomas Jefferson quarter. And so when people look at their change, and these are, been dispersed throughout the country, I think people are starting to see them. It's exciting, and people are taking notice of them. And the really neat thing is for years to come, I think people will look back on these because almost all of them are one-year type coins. And what that means is we're only making them during 2026. And so after this year, we're going to change them up or revert back to the designs that we're all accustomed to seeing. And let me give you one specific example. The Roosevelt dime. You and I have spent that throughout our entire life. That coin originally came out in 1946. So if you do the math, we hadn't changed that coin in 80 years. And so we have a new emerging Liberty dime, and it's just, beautiful. And to see that coin, when you see it, it'll be a big moment because you'll say, wow, that is really interesting. And it is.
Paul Hollis heads up the U.S. Mint. We're talking about a few of the things that they're doing to celebrate America's 250th anniversary. Tell me about the Declaration of Independence quarter. That's the Thomas Jefferson quarter you're talking about?
That's exactly right. This year, we're doing 5 different quarter designs. Now, this is something that to me is kind of interesting. George Washington was born in 1732. So 200 years later, in 1932, we put his portrait on the obverse of the quarter. So it's almost been 100 years where we've had President Washington on the obverse of a quarter. But this year, we're having 5 different designs on the quarter, and we have released the new Thomas Jefferson quarter. And what's extra exciting, think about this. The United States every year produces billions with a B, billions and billions of coins. Now, in the last couple of weeks, I actually was there at the Philadelphia Mint to see it. We put this special privy mark. Now, your listeners might not know what a privy mark is, but it's a special notation that we have done on only 250,000 quarters. Now, that is a very small number, especially when you consider there's, 340 million Americans. So a tiny portion of the quarters that we've produced this year of the Thomas Jefferson design have a privy mark, and that's just a small notation on the obverse or the front of the coin, and it says July 4th. And our production team has manufactured these. They've seeded them out in distribution channels across the country. There's an equitable distribution so that everybody's got a shot to own one. And I honestly consider it to be a nationwide treasure hunt to see if you can find one of these special privy mark quarters. You'll, I would think, definitely find a Thomas Jefferson quarter because, again, we're making so many coins, but there's a small quantity of the production that we put this special July 4th privy mark in the 7 o'clock portion of the coin. And if you see it, and my son got the opportunity to hold it as the first one was struck, and I was like, this is going to be such a bonanza for Americans to participate in this, treasure hunt that celebrates our nation and hitting 250-year milestone.
It's going to be like Walker's Golden Tickets.
It kind of is. The only difference is instead of 5, as you remember, golden tickets
right.
To see a chocolate factory, this is 250,000 opportunities. So, if you do the math, it's going to be, probably 1 out of 1,300 people get the opportunity to actually own one. But it is really awesome.
Oh, my goodness. How many people are not even going to know?
Well, yeah. But I hope people do what we've always wanted to do. The Mint's mission is to connect America through coins.
Right.
And so I think in the desire to see if they happen to have one of these privy mark quarters, we want to get the word out that some of these coins, a small portion of our mintage, has this mark on them that says July 4th. And again, we've already had them out in distribution channels, and I think it's just a matter of probably, days or a week or more at the most where people are going to say, I found one. And again, I had the privilege of being there in Philadelphia when these coins came off the minting press to see that very first coin struck. And, as a coin collector since I was just 7 years old, that was thrilling. But I do think this transcends just coin collectors. I think the American public is going to embrace it. They're going to have a little piece of history, and I hope it's going to be something they'll treasure for a lifetime, maybe even become a family heirloom.
Okay, if you're in traffic right now, keep one eye on the road. Don't check the ashtray until you get to a red light to go ahead and look for that since they're already out there. We're talking with Paul Hollis, who heads up the U.S. Mint. Paul, is there a way to project value on this thing based off of scarcity?
That's an area that I don't choose to go to, but I can, tell you that coin collectors on a piece like this, they're certainly going to be interested in wanting to own them. And they're going to treat this like they do most coins. They want to protect it, and if you should find one, I'd encourage you to obviously keep it, but protect it, and you don't want to damage it in any way. But I look forward to social media accounts and people saying, look at what I have found, and to celebrate a really unique and special piece of history. And I'm so glad that the United States Mint is participating in this incredible celebration that we all share, that connects us together, and the patriotism and the excitement and the camaraderie as we approach July 4th. It's just awesome.
So when I was growing up, I collected baseball cards. I would put this scarcity-wise on a level of like a 52 Mickey Mantle. I mean, this is just I cannot imagine what the projection is going to be like for a coin collector. I know that's not your end of the business, but like that, it's built into it right now. I could see it before it happens. It's built in.
I'm glad we chose the number of 250,000. Obviously, 250 because the number of years that we've declared our independence, but also it increases people's opportunity to have the chance of owning something truly special. But honestly, even if you don't get the Privy Mark quarter with Thomas Jefferson on the obverse, just any of the new designs, and you'll note them, they have the dual date, just like we did in the bicentennial. As you recollect, 1776 and then 1976, but now 50 years later, that dual date is 1776-2026. But again, more different design changes than we have seen in 100 years. So Americans, I do think, will take note. And if you see shiny coins, I would tell you it's very likely you got the new batch of coins that were freshly minted from one of the mints across this nation.
Yeah, rare but not impossible. It's 250,000 is a good number. Rare but not impossible, to be sure.
You got it.
So it's a 1 year run that we're looking at here. Why are we cutting off after 250? Or, side question, do y'all have anything else cool planned on the back end?
We do have some other surprises that are coming on later this year, but we'll get to those surprises when we're prepared to get to those. But this coin that you're seeing right now, I think your listeners are going to be excited to have the opportunity to own it.
Where can folks go if they want to learn more about and get a firsthand look at designs and learn more about distribution and what they should be on the lookout for? Where should they go online to look?
Our website is usmint.gov. I'd encourage everybody to go to usmint.gov, and you'll have a ton of information right there at your fingertips.
He is the director of the U.S. Mint, Louisiana's own Paul Hollis. Man, great catching up. Greatly appreciate a couple minutes this morning. Thank you so much for hopping on board.
My pleasure. Thank you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That was cool. Sorry, I just going to nerd out right there. When you think about the scarcity of that, and I know I probably was out of bounds by asking him about that question, but that's immediately where my mind went. Every coin collector out there is going to be all over this thing. So I guess that's the next step in the story, is to talk to a coin collector. Somebody who deals in coins. I got to find somebody for that, because like I said, 250,000, very, very rare in our nation. At the same time, though, not impossible to find. I got a golden ticket. Good stuff. We're nowhere near done for the day. We got hour 3 coming up in just a little bit. Hour 3 is going to be stacked up with interviews. Jeremiah Piper is going to talk to us about the usage part of carbon capture, usage, and sequestration. He's with Renovago Chemicals. Very much looking forward to that conversation. Secretary of State Nancy Landry is coming up next hour. How did early voting run for the second time around? Did people get better at it with the closed primary? We'll talk with her at 8:15. And Congressman Troy Carter at 8:35, little D.C. Current presented by LABI. Before we get you to your money now, let me remind you about 180 Pros, 180pros.com. Cybersecurity gets more and more important every single day, and making sure your cybersecurity is on lock. That's mission critical for 180 Pros. That's where they bank their reputation. They base their success off of your success. And if you're getting hacked and your network's down, they take it personally. I mean, it's just there's no other way to put it. They have a relationship with you. They're not your IT provider. They're your IT partner. They're dialed in just like you are. If you want to learn more, pun intended, if you want to learn more, visit 180pros.com, 180pros.com. is to me too.
Are they using the mouthwash? I mean, this is.
It's yes. I can't imagine they're just pouring it out. But yeah, I got like this much left in the brand new
Why
bottle.
would you use somebody? That's like using somebody's
No,
toothbrush.
no. Hey, Brian, we got one more segment to knock out before we. Absolutely. Yeah. So, but we'll she'll get waters if you want. We get cured. So, all right, cool. Good deal. Of course.
That creeps me out. That somebody uses somebody's mouthwash.
I know.
I know. For real, he'll hide it. Then somebody will find it in the studio and use it. It's the most gross thing.
Oh, I should have got him to comment on the Bessie race. What I was talking about with Crouere, that's his seat. Yeah, if you want to say it in here, you can. That's the Hollis' seat that they're going after.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, no, it's true. I'm only worried about service my bowl, though.
Well, he's the independent, so he's not until November. And that's PSC, not Bessie.
I know it's completely
This day in history. Do what? Oh.
Really? Oh, yeah, it's freezing out there.
See, I'm heat sensitive, so
Really? Because I've been, ask him, I will hit this heater in full gear because I'm always cold, so I'll like blast him. I feel so bad because I'm always cold.
my dad used to work with people who had like the heaters right under their desk.
Same. I'll have the heat on in the middle of the summer. I'll have the heat on my back. Yeah, I'm always cold. I was anemic with my twins, and I don't think I ever shook it. And my twins are now 7, so I don't know. I'm always cold. And I know when poor Brian's like just had enough of my heater because he's over there like struggling to breathe. I'm like, oh, let me turn my heater off.
That sounds like me because I'm like I run hot, so like I'll be in an apartment with my girlfriend up in Michigan. It's like cold as hell outside. I'm like,
And you have the AC on.
yeah, and I want the AC on, and everyone else is like, it's freezing in here. I'm like, I'm comfortable.
Right.
Is there anything I should know before I run out?
Nope.
Oh, I guess we're always on Facebook. So even when we're not on the air, we're streaming on Facebook and YouTube. So that's why, like, the side conversations, it's because we keep going on Facebook.
Oh.
So yeah, when you sit down, you'll be on Facebook.
So you're like streaming on Facebook.
We are streaming both on Facebook and YouTube. Our Facebook just does tremendously better than YouTube.
Probably because it's easier to access.
Yeah, probably. Oh, do y'all have Facebook and Instagram? I tried tagging y'all. Do y'all have a page?
My marketing director literally just said something yesterday.
Okay, because I was trying to tag y'all and I couldn't. Because normally when we go live on Facebook, what I'll do is I'll do like 6:35. So and so talks about carbon capture. 7:30, and then I tried tagging y'all.
We don't have any Facebook pages or Instagram
Okay,
thing.
cool.
Anything right we have right now is like no.
Okay, cool. So I wasn't crazy. I'm like,
I hate social media myself, and my marketing director also kind of hates social media.
Gotcha.
So we're like.
gotcha. We'll do one more break and come to you.
I hate this revamped website so much. It was so much more user friendly the last time around.
Damn, you wake up with this.
7:55 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Like I said, we've got a stacked up hour 3 with 3 different interviews. That pushes this day in history up to right now.
All right. I am going all the way back to 1961, Brian. Do you have anything earlier than that?
1868.
Let's roll.
First typewriter was introduced in 1868.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Before then, we just had to use pencils, paper, pens. It was not so fun of a life back then. Okay, in 1961, the Antarctica Treaty came into force, setting Antarctica aside for peaceful scientific work and banning military activity there.
Sure.
I never, ever, I always thought Antarctica was for research. I never thought that they were trying to put a military there.
Wouldn't you want to, though? I mean, like literally, like your position to go in any direction.
That's very true. That's very true. 1989, Tim Burton's Batman, starring Michael Keaton, was released in theaters.
Yep, and?
Oh, God, I don't know.
Another movie came out that very same day.
Oh, what you got? I don't know.
It's Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Whoa, yes. I love that one. I do. The first one, of course. Not all the spinoffs they did, like Honey, I Shrunk the Parents or something. What was the spinoff?
I don't know. They had a Honey, I Blew Up the Kids, Honey, I Shrunk Your Breakfast. I don't know. It's...
Right. Oh, gosh. Okay. In 2016, the UK voted to split from the European Union, setting off years of political fallout. I remember when that kind of took over the headlines.
Yep.
Let's see. 2018, a Thai youth soccer team. I remember this. And its coach became trapped in a flooded cave, setting up the rescue story that grabbed the world's attention. Didn't they live stream at certain points, just showing the cave views?
I think so, yeah.
And the whole world was dialed in.
Yeah.
In 2005, Reddit was founded in Medford, Massachusetts. So on this day, Reddit was born, and it started millions of arguments online forever and ever. In 2021, Britney Spears requested a judge to end her court-ordered conservatorship, stating, I think this conservatorship is abusive. I don't think I can live a full life.
Okay.
That's all I got.
I got two more here. This day in 1969, Sweet Caroline was released.
Woohoo!
And this day in 1993, John Bobbitt had his wiener chopped off.
Oh, my God. For reals?
Yeah, Lorena Bobbitt cut off her husband's ding dong.
Didn't she bite it off?
I think she used a knife.
Ooh, either way, gross. All right, birth.
You got to be committed to the bit to bite that off. I mean,
I know, right? You got to be angry.
That's.
Let's see. Notable birthdays. Happy birthday, dog. It's former American Idol judge Randy Jackson, 70 years old today.
Baton Rouge's own, yep.
Dog. Jason Mraz, 49. Let me see. That's really all I have that's notable. Who else you got?
Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, born on this day in 1948. Golfer Colin Montgomery, born on this day in 1963. And if we rewind the clock back to 1941, take you down to New Orleans for Deacon John.
Awesome. Notable deaths on this day. Ed McMahon, 86 years old. He was known as Johnny Carson's longtime Tonight Show sidekick and the voice behind Here's Johnny. He passed away in 2009.
Okay. I like that you have to describe who Ed McMahon is. We're getting to that point. By the way, Aaron Spelling died on this day in 2006.
Yes, Aaron Spelling. National Day, we were talking about it for what was it? Like minutes on end, and I already forgot what National Day we got today. Hang on.
Today is National Hydration Day.
Yeah, but there's also other ones like Fix Your Windows Day, International Olympic Day.
Garbage.
Detroit Style Pizza Day.
Garbage.
Yeah, let's go with hydration.
Yeah, it's National Hydration Day. We're coming up on 8 o'clock, which means we're going to check news. ABC News, then we'll check traffic, then we'll check weather. Hour 3 is coming up. Let's talk about the usage in carbon capture, usage, and sequestration. It's a big part of the puzzle, and once that part of the puzzle's in, the rest of the puzzle gets a lot clearer. We've got Jeremiah Piper joining us next. Yeah, come on over. A chair right there. You're good to go.
Am I ready? Probably not. Is it already time? Yeah.
It is time. It will roll. Be careful. And yeah, the little green light's the camera. That's. They have to have the lights off in there and weird lights in here because it's just impossible to light me.
Wonderful. Set this up so that we can have a conversation face to face.
Yep.
Thank you for saying the name right. A lot of people don't.
What?
Renovago. A lot of people.
You said it right. Okay, because he did use I guess.
Well, here's the thing. A lot of people's first instinct, for some reason, is Reno Vigo, which.
I thought it was that.
I say, see, I've never noticed that. It's Esperanto for renewal. So I've like never heard it any other way, and then we started getting out there, and people were, who had never heard it pronounced were like Reno Vigo. I was like, oh no, I may have made the wrong choice in name.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I just yadded it too much, but
You might need a nickname like Reno or Remo or
Something. Glad to have a chance to talk about this because I know a lot of companies that I work with and partner with are kind of having a same problem that a lot of people are, which is a lot of people don't know what the hell carbon utilization even is.
right.
A staggering amount of people, even in the highest levels of some of the companies you'd hope actually know about it.
Yeah. Well, because right now, I mean, so the credits on the capture part,
Yeah.
and everybody's focused on the safety of the science of the sequestration part.
Yeah, and no one's
Getting
talking
it
about what...
from air into ground without, like, and there's literally only been one accident in America since they started doing this. And it took a literal landslide in Mississippi to make that happen.
I mean, not only that, but also you got to remember a lot of these older sequestration projects are reusing old equipment.
Right.
They're retrofitting things that already exist, oil pipelines, etc.
Right.
I mean, you can make it safe, but there's no guarantee you're going to be able to make something 100% safe. That doesn't mean you shouldn't do it.
Also, in the only CO2 disaster that we've had, nobody died. A couple people got sick from, a couple people had to go to the hospital because they weren't taking in enough oxygen in the immediate proximity.
See, I did the math once upon a time, and like with the dissipation, the thing that you have to be scared of is not the actual thing; it's the blast, because it's supercritical CO2, meaning it is highly compressed CO2.
Mm-hmm.
So, like when that burst. But
But
right
that
now,
burst is not combustible.
No, it's not, and that's the big thing. This burst is not combustible. It dissipates rather quickly. It might cause some problems in the near vicinity, but. The biggest thing, honestly, is the fact that there's the blast, but if you don't have an above ground pipeline, it doesn't make any sense to worry about because, and especially I have it on good authority because I've talked to the people designing the pipelines that they're burying these things now.
Right.
They saw the danger and they're starting to bury them 6 feet in the ground is what they're expecting.
Well, and then where you run into problems is now we get into the the property rights and eminent domain arguments, and there's just no way to stop people from being scared. They're just gonna be scared.
Well, they're gonna be scared, but I mean, this is the best first step in the right direction.
Yeah.
It's just people need to be able to hear about what the hopeful things are. Let's be perfectly honest. Good news is never the news that sells, so you don't hear about it as often.
Right.
How many people know about the fact that we have a plant already operating, turning CO2 into jet fuel in Washington? Just started 2 weeks ago.
We don't. We don't know
2 weeks ago. Company called 12. You can look it up.
Yeah.
Making jet fuel out of CO2. No one talks about it.
Right.
Yeah, you're familiar with the guys over at Fuel, huh?
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, no, I
have them on
speed dial.
Yeah. Can't have them on enough.
Yeah, no, being a part of the Fuel program, I was one of the people who was helping advise the beginning of the program. I was there right before they even had their first round of investments. Mm-hmm. I was talking to them. I knew Stephen Lloyd, but from beforehand.
Yes. Well, he was at
Nexus.
Nexus, that's where I knew him from.
Back when
so he and I are tight.
Back when Renovago was still called Crown Night Trials in 2018, I went into Nexus and started talking about this, asking if there was any resources I could get.
Mm-hmm.
I was a youngling back then.
Well,
feel like in 8 years I've aged 16.
It's not unheard of because you're going to be constantly fighting an uphill battle for public perception.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what do I always forget his name? Alliteration.
Michael Mazzola.
Yeah. He's been on a couple times. That guy's a fucking rock star. He's awesome.
He knows his crap. He knows
Yeah.
what he knows what to say.
Yep. 805 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Brian here with you, Breland producing. We're starting off your 8 o'clock hour at 79 degrees in Baton Rouge. We broadcast live from the 180 Pros studio. 180 Pros. Is it time for your IT to do a 180? Visit 180pros.com. Busy hour this hour. We got Secretary of State Nancy Landry in our next segment. We've got Congressman Troy Carter at 8:35. Right now, though, we're going to pivot the conversation back over to the carbon capture world. When we see the acronym CCUS, what does that U stand for? Well, depending on who you ask, it's either usage or utilization. Either way, that's the same word. The folks at Renovigo Chemicals are working on this right now. Jeremiah Piper's with them. He's in studio with us. How are you, man?
Doing pretty well. It's nice to be here.
Right up on that. Oh, I'm glad to have you in. Let's start with what is Renovigo Chemicals?
Renovigo Chemicals is a sustainable company trying to produce one of the most important chemical intermediaries in the business from CO2.
Mm-hmm. So we'll get into what some of the products are, some of the end products are in a little bit. But I got to ask, from an outsider's perspective, this looks like very new science. From an outsider's perspective, this looks like a whole new world to start walking down. How did you start walking down it?
Back in 2018, I made the mistake of asking whether I could make my own carbon fiber.
Okay.
And that kind of led me down a rabbit hole that ended up in me realizing that there was a few major problems in the industry that weren't really being addressed by traditional methods.
Mm-hmm.
After long discussions with a bunch of LSU professors, I ended up finding out about some technology that was up and coming that allowed us to take CO2 and turn it into really important chemicals and the basis for all of what oil and gas produces.
What kind of chemicals? What are we looking at that's usable in day-to-day life?
Ethylene, ethanol, methanol, a lot of very big acids like formic acid. These are all chemicals that are used as the basic building blocks for a lot of the things we use every day.
Mm-hmm. So I guess my next question, this is where as a layperson we might glaze over with science, but let's at least try to walk down the path. How?
It's almost a reverse combustion is the best way I can describe it. Instead of using getting energy out of burning, fuel or a hydrocarbon and taking it into CO2 and water, you're doing the reverse. You're adding energy.
Because CO2 is post-combustion.
CO2 is post-combustion, yes. So what you're basically having to reverse the process. In our case, we're using renewable electricity to do so, water and CO2. Well, if you put CO2 in water and add a special electrode, you applying a little bit of electricity recombines it into small hydrocarbons, which then by other traditional methods can be turned into pretty much everything else.
Okay, this is where I'm going to start to sound really stupid. When you put CO2 into water, you get a LaCroix.
Yes, you are essentially electrifying a LaCroix and getting small hydrocarbons out of it.
Unbelievable. Okay, so how difficult is this process? How expensive is this process? How mentally intense is this process? Like, what does it take to get more people doing that? I don't want to create too much competition for you, but like, what does it take to grow your team? Is it dollars? Is it awareness? Is it science? What is it?
It's everything. Because you need to remember that these are new technologies. These are budding technologies. A lot of the things that we do in oil and gas, we've been doing the same thing for about 100 years. We've just been making better catalysts to do the same things better. This is new technology. This is brand new. These are fields that are being developed actively. But 5 to 10 years ago, you might have said, "Oh, well, this is 5 to 10 years away." Well, 5 to 10 years is now.
Are we still in the same spot? That 5 to 10 years away, was that an accurate projection? Are we ready to turn this corner?
We already have companies like 12 who have just produced a few weeks ago their full scale plant for producing jet fuel from CO2. This is a reality. This is not some fantasy. This is not 5 to 10 years out. This is not something that's we're waiting on. This is now, and this is going to be the future of industrial manufacturing.
This is an open and operating lab, an open and operating company in real time right now.
Yes. multiple companies in this space have gotten investments in the tens of millions, and this is a budding technology, but it's something that's important to the future of not only what we're looking at for climate and everything else, but it's important to the future of manufacturing.
Right. We've got Jeremiah Piper in with us. He's with Renovago, who's right here on Nicholson Boulevard, which is like right up the road on Nicholson. Let's talk a little bit about scalability here, because if we've got carbon capture, usage, or utilization, and sequestration, can we get this scalable enough to not need sequestration?
Oh, absolutely. For reference, this is a net negative process. So you're using up CO2 and sequestering it in the process of producing your product. And by doing so, you're also removing the emissions that would have been made otherwise in that production. As more technologies start using this, as more verticals are integrate this technology, less CO2 will be produced overall, and what CO2 is left over will be likely used to produce the same things we're producing using oil and gas.
Can we overdo it?
There is a possibility. Maybe in the distant future, we might even have cases where, CO2 is such a high commodity and we don't produce enough of it on the industrial scale. We might be mining, municipal solid waste facilities and landfills for, materials to turn into CO2. But that's a little bit far off right now.
I got just a couple minutes with Jeremiah Piper from Renovago. I'm fascinated by this, and we might. This is one of those interviews where, like, later on this afternoon, I'm going to come up with 30 more questions, so we might have to have you back on at a later date.
I would love to.
So right now, we're pulling carbon out of the air, we're pulling CO2 out of the air, pumping it under the ground, right? For a lot of cases, we have the Class 6 wells and the primacy and all that other good stuff. Are we able to pull it back out from underground to utilize it there? Like, can we use our own wells as storage? Or once that's down there, it's just down there, we got to go get somewhere else?
Oh, we can absolutely use it as storage. It just depends on the kind of sequestration. There's not just one kind of geological sequestration. There's the kind which uses particular stones, and the CO2 is incorporated into those stones through chemical reactions. There's ones that are reusing old oil wells. Those are the best ones for this case, because what they're doing is just hyper pressurizing the CO2 under the surface, and it turns into almost a pseudo liquid, supercritical CO2.
Supercritical, yes. I learned that term about last year. So, okay, let's take the ones that are the former oil wells, and they've got it in supercritical state down there. Is that state the right state needed for, like, someone like a Renovo Chemical to utilize it and turn it into something else, or are there more steps along the process when it's like that?
Oh, it's actually relatively easy to take it back out because they do all of the processing before they send it into the wells.
Okay.
For Air product has massive little facility on top of what they're already doing in preparation for the sequestration, where they're cleaning the CO2 before they ever send it into somewhere. And because it's already supercritical, it would basically be the equivalent of tapping an old oil well. That's all it would be. You tap it, and all of a sudden, the CO2 starts pouring out.
Probably the most controversial CCS project that we've been learning about along the way is the one that's under Lake Maurepas.
Yes.
Is that the right kind to be able to pull things back out later on? And do you risk? Give me a baseball reference, right? When you have a rundown, you want as few throws as possible because you always run the risk of dropping the ball. Do you run the risk of dropping the ball by pulling something back out once it's under Lake Maurepas?
Not as much as you would think, and I think the reason for that is just simply because in the case of that, they're actually using the water itself as the compressant instead of necessarily ground. So you're talking about basically the LaCroix almost the same way. It's relatively easy to pull this kind of stuff out of the ground, with a maximum amount of safety, and realistically, it's even better because if everyone's worried about sequestration, well, utilization is the answer to that. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I've been a firm believer that utilization is it just ends all the other debates to me. At that point, you've got a legitimate commodity. At that point, it's not something you're sitting on or burying. It's a legitimate commodity. It's a sellable commodity.
Oh, 100%.
Even if it's in it becomes a raw material form.
Yes.
Okay. Walk me through just very briefly, because we only got 2 minutes left. What do the next 5 years look like for Renovago when it comes to growing this, scaling this, and making this sellable?
Well, it's funny you say 5 years because that's about what we're hoping to, go through into getting our full-scale plan. So a lot of the work right now for us is getting everything set up, getting everything prepared, testing every possibility, making sure that our system works not only in the field, but also works as you scale and gets it to that point. But we're not working alone. Hundreds of companies are working on these same technologies right now, and they're working together because every single one of these companies knows what the future of manufacturing looks like. This is going to be the real next industrial revolution.
Very cool stuff. Where can folks go if they want to learn more about y'all?
RenovogoChemicals.com. You can see everything right there. We also have a few articles coming out here near soon, and you'll be able to learn a little bit more about us through there.
Keep us in the loop, man. He's Jeremiah Piper with Renovogo. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Before we take our next break, we got Nancy Landry coming up right after the break. We're going to talk about did we get it right with round 2 for the closed party primaries. Before we take that break, though, I want to remind you about the Baton Rouge Metro Airport. FlyBTR.com is their website, FlyBTR.com. Was checking arrivals and departures this morning. Yesterday, the only delay that they had was at a DFW, and that was because of the weather on that end. Well, everything's running smooth this morning. The first 2 flights out of Baton Rouge Metro have already arrived at their destination. The next 3, including your daily flight to Reagan National in Washington, D.C., they're en route right now. If you are planning any business travel or if you're mapping out for LSU football this fall, check out flybtr.com. Check out the options, check out the availability, and check out the full scene. Not just the ticket price, but the full. Do you want to drive down to New Orleans and pay that exorbitant amount for parking? Do you really want to deal with the TSA hassle down there or the experience over here? flybtr.com.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Did your mind get blown?
Do what?
Did your mind get
We
blown?
walked through a lot of it yesterday,
Yeah.
so
You
yeah.
had that first.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was.
Jeremiah, when I first talked to you, I was like, how is this not like frontline page news?
Well, a lot of people. It's the problem of it. Good news isn't the news that people talk about, and not only that, but also, I hate to say it, a lot of the people who are a part of these, larger businesses, they have their heads up their ass. They don't know anything going on outside of it. In fact, I talked to some of the people from Air Products. They didn't know half the secret.
Make sure I'm off. That was fascinating. Gonna have to go back and listen to it a second time just to make sure I picked up on everything. Thanks again to Jeremiah Piper for hopping on board. All right. Early voting ended Saturday. Election Day's coming up June 27th. Are we getting it right the second time around? Have we picked up on how the closed party primaries work? Secretary of State Nancy Landry is on with us right now. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you, Brian. Thanks for having me on.
No, glad to have you on. Glad to be talking about this because we just went through round 2 for the early voting stage. What were your takeaways? What did your office learn along the way?
I think people are catching on. We had, fewer people asking questions when they got there. They seem to know now, but we're still encouraging everyone to check their sample ballot at govote.com before they go vote. This Saturday, June 27th, is the election, so mark your calendars.
The turnout for early voting was definitely off from where it was back in May. Is your office able to attribute that to anything in particular? Because, I mean, look, it's summertime, it's vacation time. We can say that, but we also had a tropical storm roll through. 6 parishes were under a state of emergency for the back half of the early voting period. Is your office able to pin down why we're looking at lower numbers for early voting?
And we can only guess like you. So we think, it did affect it a little bit because it is summer. There are people on vacation. And we had that bad weather on Thursday. We weren't having early voting on Friday anyway because it was a holiday. So it didn't affect that day. But it was low. I think there's very little interest in this race as well, it seems like. And so, it's just been a low turnout election cycle this summer.
Now, I can tell you, speaking firsthand, I had to stand in a little bit of a line over at the State Archives. I went and early voted on Saturday. And it took a good couple minutes to get through. We had a bunch of people out there. I guess it was just the time of day I was there or whatever. But while the numbers are down, they haven't fizzled.
We did have an uptick on Saturday. We had an uptick of people coming. Saturday was a big day.
So just to kind of recap, because I don't think we can have enough tutorials for those who are waiting on coming up this Saturday for actual election day. Walk us through the process one more time of what folks can expect to do when they hit their polling place.
So this is it's both a closed party primary runoff and in some parishes a local election. So you will have a statewide election for U.S. Senate, and that is a party runoff though. So some people won't be able to vote in it, and that's why we're encouraging everyone to check their ballot at govote.com. Some parishes have local tax props as well as local elections, and in some parishes we have a Bessie primary runoff and a PSC primary runoff. So there's races all over the state, tax props all over the state, and a statewide primary runoff.
Okay, I want to go back to where the part, before you get too far afield, let's go back to the part where you said some people won't be able to vote. This was an issue the first time around where some people who should have been able to vote were confused by the process. If you are a no party, that does not mean you don't get to vote. Walk us through, if I'm a no party and I step up to my poll worker here and I say I'm here to vote and I'm no party, what do I need to tell them to make sure I can vote as either a Republican or a Democrat in the closed party primary?
Well, your ballot could be affected by both your party registration and the ballot that you selected in May if you voted in May. So if you are a no party voter and you selected a Republican or Democrat or no party ballot in May, you will get that same ballot for this race. So if you selected Republican, you'll vote in the Republican primary runoff. If you selected Democrat in May, you'll vote in the Democratic primary runoff this Saturday. And so you have to stick with the choice you made in May if you're a no-party voter. But if you didn't vote in May, then you can select Republican primary runoff or Democratic primary runoff, or you can choose not to participate in the primary runoff at all. So if you're a no-party voter, you have choices unless you voted in May and you already made the choice, and then that choice is made for both May and June. Okay,
so just to make sure we're all on the same page here. Like, let's say in May, let's say I'm a Republican, so I don't have to worry about it. I got a Republican ballot because I'm still registered as a Republican. But let's say I was a no party back in May, and I didn't understand the process. And when they asked me what party I was, I said no party. But I went in with the intention of getting a Republican ballot. So if I screwed up then, does that screw up carry over to this Saturday?
Yes, you will get a no-party ballot again because you selected that on the piece of paper that said, please select which ballot you want. Okay. And if you selected wrong, you're still bound by that selection for this election as well.
We get Secretary.
So that's why we encourage everybody to check their sample ballot ahead of time at govote.com or on the GoVote mobile app, and to make sure that you understand it and ask questions if you don't understand. So when you get there, if you haven't voted in May, you will get that ballot selection form, and we encourage you to read it it tells you not to pick your party, but to pick which ballot you want. You don't change parties at the polling place. You just select which ballot you want as a no-party voter. And the form clearly says that people, sometimes don't read the form, and they need to ask questions if they don't understand before they vote. Once you cast your vote, it's too late. You got to ask the questions before you cast that ballot.
Right. So if you screwed up in May, you got to stick by the same one this time around, and then everything's back open in November when we have an actual election. And Nancy, I think that's a part of the process that a lot of people are missing along the way, is we had folks who were like upset that like if they're a registered Democrat but didn't get to choose which Republican moved forward. Like, it's a closed party primary. It's not an open election.
Right, and this is a change the legislature made in 2024, and it just took effect this year. This was not something I took a position on, or that it was not my initiative. The legislature decided to close the party primaries, and that's the way that it works. You can only vote in your party's primary unless you're a no-party voter, and then you can choose which one to vote in. But this is done in other states, and other voters have figured it out. So we feel really confident that Louisiana voters will figure it out and they'll learn. But there's always a learning curve when we make changes, and so it is going to be a little bit of a difference for some people going to the polls. But I think once they vote in a few elections, they'll get used to it and they'll know. In the fall, like you said, it is open for the Senate races, but again, we moved the congressional races there, and they will be open as well this year, but the next time they'll be.
Oh, did we lose her?
For
there she is.
Some
okay.
Bessie races, yeah.
I'm sorry, I need you to repeat part of that because you cut out for a good 10 seconds or so. We missed a piece of that. Let me pick you up where you cut out. You were saying congressional races are going to be open this fall, but next time, and then that's where it cut out.
But in the next one after that, the next congressional races in 2028 will be closed again. They're only open this fall because of the Calais case that came down and changed. We have to change the districts, and so there's no time to do a closed party primary. So they'll be open this fall because of that. Mm-hmm. So the fall election will be similar to what everybody's used to, except that the Senate race will be decided by plurality.
Overall report card after early voting closed up this time around, round 2 versus round 1. Overall report card, how did we do?
I think that, the voters were more comfortable with it now that it's the second time they had closed party primaries, and so we're really hopeful that people will catch on really quick and figure it out. We're also working really hard to train our poll workers to make sure they understand it so they can answer questions, and we've, I think, done a really good job of that this time around as well.
Election day is coming up Saturday. Like we said, we got closed party primary runoff in the U.S. Senate race, and then local ballot initiatives throughout the state, wherever you're at. There's probably something added on your ballot as well. In the meanwhile, she's our Secretary of State, Nancy Landry. We always appreciate the time. Thank you so much for hopping on board.
Thank you, Brian.
Always. Talk to you soon. The process from my end was pretty easy. I was surprised with how many people were out there on Saturday. And she said, she echoed that statement saying there was an uptick, to be sure, on Saturday. So good. The process was not as difficult as I thought it was going to be for the early voting side of that. And rewinding the clock back to May, I didn't have to worry about picking the right ballot because as a Republican, I got a Republican ballot. So, but yeah, the follow up right there. If you messed up in May and got no party, you're going to get no party this time around as well. We got news, traffic, and weather on the way. Congressman Troy Carter is going to be coming up in just a little bit. We got a stack of topics to cover with the Congressman. Before we get you to news, though, want to remind you about the folks over at Exxon Mobil. For more than 115 years, Exxon Mobil has helped power Louisiana. We're talking about by providing good jobs to a strong focus on safety, long-term investment in our communities. You see Exxon Mobil's name throughout. And as energy needs change, Exxon Mobil is applying that experience to new solutions like carbon capture and storage, projects that help support industry, keep jobs here at home, and bring new opportunities to markets across the state. If you want to learn more about where they're headed next, visit aboutlaccs.com, aboutlaccs.com. Oh. Byron said, how many wrecks did I cause by men involuntarily grabbing their crotch while driving? The colored lights that run behind the black curtain. Yeah, it's a Jada Cody thing. I've never used them once. It didn't make sense because they're below camera shot. You can't see them. They're behind the curtain, so they only project downwards. I don't even know if it's still plugged in. Yeah, no. See the
Oh, it's not plugged in. Like it would normally. I was wondering. I'm sitting here all these mornings. I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Well, Brian, you need more lighting.
Yeah, but I don't need like green and yellow and blue and. Okay. No. I can tell you unequivocally. No. I'm not getting pet health insurance. Maybe I'm just an a-hole. I don't know. Ooh. Trying to call the hotline. No, I know. He's got a stack of things to. I'm not hating on Paul. He's really good. That's him. That's Congressman.
Good morning, Congressman. Good morning. Doing well. Sorry, we're still having hotline issues, but we are coming back in, okay? Okay.
8:36. Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Wanted to squeeze in one quick clarification, if I could, before we get back to the hotline. If from the last segment with Secretary Landry, if someone voted in May as no party, they can still choose RD or no party. So that was okay. I thought that was right. And I think I jammed her up in asking the question. If you chose no party back in May and you want a Republican ballot for Senate this time, or you want a Democratic ballot for Senate this time, you can get that you can get that correction. You're not left hanging out to dry. I believe that's right. I don't think I phrased the question right when the secretary was on with us. But we'll get further clarification, but I'm about 95% sure that no party can still opt for a party this time around, specifically for that Senate race. All right, it is time for DC Current, presented by LABI. Congressman Troy Carter from Louisiana's 2nd Congressional District on with us right now. How are you, sir?
I am doing wonderful, sir. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well on this end as well. Did you early vote?
I did. I got a chance to get it in. I encouraged everybody to always do the same. It's a great opportunity to take advantage of the opportunity to get out and vote and not wait for Election Day when it can rain, you can have a medical issue, all sorts of things come up. You can get inundated with honeydews. Get it out of the way.
No, look, during the summertime when the kids' athletic schedule's all over the place, like, I'm a traditional voter myself. I like taking the kids to the polls with me. I like teaching them that is, our right and our privilege, and for that matter, our duty. I like teaching that to the kids. But summertime, all bets are off. I'm going to get in there early to make sure it gets done and nothing pops up last minute.
You never know when you got another soccer game, man. Soccer game, recital, or somebody's birthday party.
Yes. Well, we're running basketball right now, so it's a mess. All right. Speaking of sports, let's start right there. Ninth Ward Stadium. Tell me about this.
Man, what an exciting opportunity. Yesterday, we broke ground for the $16 million stadium that will be in the Ninth Ward, associated with Carver High School, but for the entire city to use. It will become one of only 4 in the entire city where our teams can have a place to call home. Such a great opportunity. I was proud to be among the first to commit $3 million in federal dollars to help develop this field of dreams, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Very honored. Arnie Felco, who's an outstanding leader, took up the mantle of taking an idea that had several false starts, ran into a lot of controversial misfires. Arnie took it over and brought it to a whole nother level, along with his committee of individuals who Wilbur Thomas, Ann Duplessis, Roy Glapion, a whole host of others who joined with Arnie Felco. And, of course, I can't say enough about Todd Graves with Raising Cane's and LCMC, Greg Fern, who stepped up with additional money to get the final dollars over the goalpost to now make this reality. They're breaking ground. Next summer is what they're projecting to have the field complete, and kids out there exercising, running, and practicing their athletic prowess with pride. We have to continue to demonstrate to our young people that they're important, that they matter. And no better way than to give them the state-of-the-art opportunity to build team-building activities, athletic activities that affect their mental, physical, and emotional health, and give them a sense of pride that they matter and that they're important. And so I can't thank Arnie Falco, the City of New Orleans, the mayor, the city council, members of the state legislature, of course our federal appropriations, and Raising Cane's and LCMC for being a part of this great announcement yesterday.
I heard false start and over the goalposts in there. Were those intentional puns?
Those were both ones that I wanted you to get.
Congressman Troy Curtis.
Got them like you always do.
I was on high alert to be sure. I was like, I bet you he tries to squeeze at least one in, and you got two. So this is going to be the home base for Carver High. Carver High, by the way, just a little trivia note here. Carver High, the high school of Southern University head football coach Marshall Falk. They used to play at Pan Am Stadium, which is in City Park. How much closer is this for them to be a home base?
Well, I mean, it's next door. I mean, it's literally it's in their backyard, and while it's going to be more closely all their home games, and it'll be their home field. It will also be shared with other schools, just like Pan Am or Berman and Algiers. It will be yet another stadium that will go a long way to provide state-of-the-art facilities for our young men and women to participate. In the next phase, there'll be a track that will be proposed in a phase 2. Of course, Jefferson Parish is getting a $7 million new field. We just doing a resurfacing of the field at Berman. Again, exercising mental and physical health. All of it ties together to make sure young people have every chance at success. And pride goes a long way. Oh, yeah.
No, absolutely. And a little bit of injection of the new, if you will. One of the things, and I know we're up here in Baton Rouge, and I probably shouldn't, spend this much time talking about a high school football stadium in New Orleans, but I'll make the comparison to Baton Rouge. Is like in Baton Rouge, we have Memorial and we have Olympia are the two big ones right there. And over here, we know both of those stadiums are dated. Both of them need a little injection of TLC, a little bit of renewal so that the kids playing there, I mean, Catholic High plays at Memorial Stadium, but anybody who goes to that stadium, when you're sitting on that concrete, you're like, oh, I would love to have, a brand new product over here. Down in New Orleans, it's the same thing where they're talking Pan Am. I don't even know if Gormley's still standing. But you're talking about football stadiums that were built, generations ago that are still the home bases or have been the home bases. This is it's the right injection that's needed.
Yeah, and listen, Gormley's still there, man. It's still an institution in our community. But as you said it, you've got antiquated concession stands. You've got restrooms that are barely fit for someone to use in many of these stadiums. So, injecting comfort, security, and state-of-the-art activities to demonstrate that, our young people matter. And many of these students go on to become collegiate stars, and some even go on to become professional athletes. Others become coaches and teachers and other productive citizens. But the lessons they learn in team building and team sports are valuable in their leadership roles that they'll go on to play in various walks of life.
Congressman Troy Carter is our guest. This is DC Current, presented by the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry. You can learn more about them at labi.org. I want to pivot back over, Congressman, because we didn't get the chance to talk last week because I was out. But you have teamed up with Clay Higgins and Cleo Fields, introducing the Crouere Act. Tell me all about it.
Yeah, so we know that with immigration and all the things that's going on, we're finding ourselves in situations where we have workforce shortages. And the Crouere Act, which is Crawfish Reclassification for Agricultural Workforce Act, is very simple. It does just what it says. it recognizes our crawfish farmers, those who clean, those who peel, those who grade, those who sort crawfish as agricultural labor or services. Recognizing these tasks as agricultural to the legislation makes crawfish processing eligible for use of the H-2A visa. What does that mean? It's designed for temporary agricultural labor not subject to the annual cap that restricts the H-2B program. A lot of words, a lot of alphabet. Bottom line, it increases the ability for us to make sure that an industry that means so much to our community, where all over the world people recognize the importance of the seafood and product that comes out of the waters of Louisiana, and those brave fishermen and farmers who do it every year so we can enjoy these little morsels. This ensures that they'll continue to have adequate labor force to make sure they get to our tables without having the prices increase exponentially because labor force is short. It's a win-win all the way around. Proud that it's a bipartisan effort, once again demonstrating that our economy should not be tied to any party. Protecting our workers and protecting our seafood industry is something that I've long made a cause to live for me, and it's very, very important.
Okay, so, and this makes sense because, I mean, a lot of the crawfish that we have, they come from the same fields where rice grows. I mean, crawfish season ends because they got to plant the rice. So what were they classified as before, if not agricultural workers?
They weren't. They were under the HB2 program, which
so no classification.
With no classification. That's exactly right. So this puts them in where there's a greater, where the cap is more expansive, not expensive, that will allow us to have more visas granted, therefore more people being able to work as laborers, and we continue to enjoy those little mud bugs that once they are bathed in a seasoned bath of water become incredible on your picnic table.
Is this a tough sell to explain to the rest of Congress who doesn't understand necessarily where crawfish come from, that crawfish and shrimp, they come from two completely different environments? These are farmers, not fishermen, or the other way around?
Believe it or not, it's not a tough sale, because even those who've never enjoyed a crawfish, they've heard enough about it to know what a delicacy it is. Now, I have tried over the last 6 years to infect and inject as much as the Louisiana culture to my colleagues in Congress. I do a couple of crawfish boils every year in Washington, D.C., where I bring up our Louisiana product, our Louisiana boilers, and we do a crawfish boil. Every year I do at least twice a year a big pot of gumbo to make sure people understand. Also, every year Steve and I, send king cakes to every member of Congress. So Louisiana's on the map in the nation's capital, brother.
So it's as simple as telling your colleagues, if you enjoy the crawfish, shut up and vote yes.
That's exactly right.
Fair enough. He's Congressman Troy Carter. Always appreciate the time, sir. We'll talk to you next week.
God bless you, my friend. Have a fantastic week.
You do the same. One Bath and Closets, onebathandclosets.com is the website. 400-8005 is the phone number.
He was talking about crawfish invented in jet, and you need to get a one bath.
Just saying. It's, it just timed out that way. We got our bathroom redone, and have been absolutely thrilled with the results. If you're kind of teetering and thinking about doing this, just go to the website real quick, onebathandclosets.com. Spell out the one, onebathandclosets.com. Start scrolling through the galleries, I should say, of what opportunities are there, and then start walking down that path of imagination and collaboration where you start to say, yeah, this would look good in our bathroom. We could do our bathroom this way. This would fit. And then give David Duvall a call at 400-8005 for One Bath and Closets. No. Okay. No, I'm just been sitting too long. Yeah, I hadn't heard that bumper in a long time.
I've been putting you a bunch of new ones in. Michelle told me, because I know enough to voice track and run you, and so she sat me down, showed me carts, showed me everything I just didn't know about White And so now I'm starting to put bumper music in for you.
And it's just all adding to the same rotation number?
Yeah, added into that same card. So I added.
So if I were to send you like a different MP3 every day, can you add one a day from my end?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because we need new music.
Different types of music. That everything that was in there was from one genre. It's a lot of house music. But I want to start putting a lot of...
JP's folder and pull it into my folder. So whatever he had besides the Weather Channel, because that was in there. Because we only use that on special occasions.
Yeah.
The Weather Channel, I've been adding that. But it'd be nice to have...
Yeah, well, he had all of the ones from my... I have a bumper folder in mine, but they're all, like, it's very niche. There's a lot more that I want to have in there, and I can send you... I'll make it a point to dub one a day and email it to you.
Oh, good. And you've probably been noticing I'm slowly but surely adding things to YouTube. To download it takes like 15 minutes. To edit it in Premiere is fast, but to render it takes like 15 minutes because it's such a large file. So like I'm trying to do one a day. It's coming. It's slowly but surely getting up there.
She's happy. Lana's happy. She's able to show ExxonMobil what we've been doing. So.
Okay, good. I think I have like 2 CCS done, 3 LLAWs. Like I'm getting them up.
Jesus.
I'm trying to put the fan at my feet. She even showed me how to export out of Adobe into wide orbit. She's like, you don't know how to do that? She's like, how you been doing it? I said, I record my endorsement, for example, in Adobe Audition, hit the import button in wide orbit. She goes, I never knew you could do that. I said, nobody taught me anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jimmy's like, all right, here, you hit this, hit that. All right, voice track fly. I'm like, oh, okay.
856 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Want to remind you one more time about the folks over at Industry Makes. IndustryMakes.org is the website if you want to check them out online. IndustryMakes.org is their home base. Who is Industry Makes? Well, Industry Makes is a kind of a concerted effort, a group effort, if you will, to return serve every time industry up and down the river is protested. There's attacks being flung all the time. And while they might be attacking one business or another individually, it hurts the whole ecosystem of business. Louisiana's manufacturing sector and the businesses that support them can't just sit on the sidelines while that happens. So Industry Makes, it's a co-branding toolkit that all businesses and associations can use and complement with their own advocacy and branding efforts to show a united front and a shared benefit from industry's presence in the community. Learn more at industrymakes.org. We are just about done for the day. I'm debating what to do for these last couple minutes because we had a story in Top Stories and Trending that I don't really want to go back to again, but I feel like I need to because I think it's bringing up a bigger question. The headline at WBRZ says, new study by teacher union shows majority pushback by educators against governor's teacher pay raise plan. Per the story, since last week, Governor Jeff Landry's plan to give educators pay raises through an executive order has been in limbo after a lawsuit and temporary restraining order were filed against it. Now, a new study by a Louisiana teachers union shows that a majority of educators that it surveyed opposed the proposal. Ever since Amendment 3 failed at the ballot last month, Landry has made it a goal to give teachers a pay raise. I want to correct that sentence right there and say, from his inauguration, Governor Landry has been looking to give teachers a pay raise. I mean, if you watch the inauguration speech, he made it a point to talk about that specifically. Talk about his mom being an educator and the value that he has on education in the state. No, by the way, the job that Dr. Brumley's been doing to move us from 50th to 31st is pretty remarkable. The amendment would have, going back to Amendment 3, which failed last May, or this, not last May. The amendment would have eliminated 3 education trust funds to fund teacher pay raises. It was this May, just this past May. Would have eliminated 3 education trust funds to fund teacher pay raises. Early this month, the governor announced an executive order that would require the transfer of $168 million from the MFP, the Minimum Foundation Program, to fund $2,000 stipends for tens of thousands of public school teachers and $1,000 for educational support staff. This was, we're almost out of time. Okay, this was yet another effort, and yet another effort shut down. I don't know about you, but somewhere along the way, we have to start asking ourselves, do we really want to give our teachers a pay raise? Or are we just going to crap on every effort out there to actually do it? You have to ask yourself, do you want the raise or do you want the argument? We're all out of time. Moon Griffon is next. We'll be back at it tomorrow. Somewhere along the way, this double standard has to be exposed and really, really blown out of proportion. To constantly pound away and say, teachers need a raise, teachers need a raise. Okay, well, you've already shot upon 2 different opportunities within the governor's first few years. You've openly duked on them. So at what point do we say, I don't think you want the teachers to get a pay raise. I think you want to bitch on behalf of the teachers, and that way you have an argument every election season. And oh, by the way, do not come to the table next year when the governor's running for re-election and say, well, the governor hasn't given the teachers a pay raise, because he's gone to you not once but twice now with opportunities. And oh, by the way, before he got those opportunities, those 2 opportunities, there were 2 stipends along the way. This is something he's been working on from the start. Anyway, we're about to get out of here. They're talking about the Strait of Hormuz and ABC News right now. My wife thinks Hormuz sounds like a tequila brand. Same. All right, we're out of here.